আকৃষ্ট হয়, মায়াতে আকৃষ্ট হয়। গুরুদেব দয়াময়, গুরুদেব দয়াময়, গুরুদেব দয়াময়, গুরুদেব দয়াময়। দুষ্ট সঙ্গ ফল না বুঝিনু হায়, সাধু কাছে যেতে চিত্ত নাহি চায়। দুষ্ট সঙ্গ ফল অসতের সঙ্গে থাকিয়া সত, অসতের সঙ্গে থাকিয়া সত, চিত্ত হইল বজ্রপ্রায়, চিত্ত হইল বজ্রপ্রায়। গুরুদেব দয়াময়, গুরুদেব দয়াময়, গুরুদেব দয়াময়, গুরুদেব দয়াময়। কনক কামিনী লাভ পূজাসা, চাহে মোর চিত্ত আর প্রতিষ্ঠাসা। কনক কামিনী লাভ পূজাসা, চাহে মোর চিত্ত আর প্রতিষ্ঠা। কিরূপে শোধিত হবে মোর চিত্ত, কিরূপে শোধিত হবে মোর, কিরূপে শোধিত হবে মোর চিত্ত, কিরূপে শোধিত। এই চিন্তা সদা হয়, এই চিন্তা সদা হয়। গুরুদেব দয়াময়, গুরুদেব দয়াময়, গুরুদেব দয়াময়, গুরুদেব দয়াময়। তব কৃপা কণ আমার সম্বল, তব কৃপা বিনা নাহি অন্য বল। তব কৃপা কণ আমার সম্বল, তব কৃপা বিনা নাহি অন্য বল। কৃপা কর প্রভু দিয়া চিত বল, কৃপা কর প্রভু দিয়া চিত বল। দাস তোমা প্রণম, দাস তোমা প্রণম। গুরুদেব দয়াময়, গুরুদেব দয়াময়, গুরুদেব দয়াময়, গুরুদেব। সাধু সঙ্গে থাকি ছয় বেগদমি, শ্রীকৃষ্ণ চরণ সেবি যেন আমি। সাধু সঙ্গে থাকি ছয় বেগদমি, কৃষ্ণ চরণ সেবি যেন। হেন মতি যাচে তব দাসা ধম, হেন মতি যাচে বন্দিত বরাঙ্গা পায়, বন্দিত বরাঙ্গা পায়। গুরুদেব দয়াময়, গুরুদেব দয়াময়, গুরুদেব দয়াময়। ওহে গুরুদেব তব শ্রীচরণ সেবি যেন আমি জনম জনম। ওহে গুরুদেব তব শ্রীচরণ সেবি যেন আমি জনম জনম। এই আশীর্বাদ যাচিও ভাজন, এই আশীর্বাদ যাচিও ভাজন। তব পদে স্থান চাই, पदे स्नान गुरुदेव दयाम गुरुदेव दयाम गुरुदेव दयाम गुरुदेव दयाम गौर गोविंद स्वामी पतित पावन गौर गोविंद स्वामी पतित पावन जय गौर गोविंद जय गौर गोविंद स्वामी पति जय गौर गोविंद स्वामी आचार्य ठाकुर जय गौर गोविंद स्वामी आचार्य ठाकुर जय गौर गोविंद आचार्य ठाकुर गुरुदेव 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 जय जय गुरुदेव जय जय गुरुदेव 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 जय जय गुरुदेव आश्रय करिया बंद श्री गुरु चरण रे आश्रय करिया बंद श्री गुरु चरण रे जहाँ होते मिले भाई जहाँ होते मिले भाई कृष्ण प्रेम धन रे कृष्ण प्रेम धन रे आश्रय करिया बंद श्री गुरु चरण रे श्री गुरु चरण रे आश्रय करिया जीवेर निस्तार लागी नंद सुत हरि नंद सुत हरि भुवने प्रकाश पान गुरु रूप धरि भुवने प्रकाश पान गुरु महिमाय गुरु कृष्ण एक करि जान महिमाय गुरु कृष्ण एक करि जान गुरु आज्ञा हृदय सब सत्य करी मान गुरु आज्ञा हृदय सब सत्य करी मान गुरु माता गुरु पिता गुरु हन अति गुरु माता गुरु पिता गुरु माता गुरु पिता गुरु हन अति गुरु माता गुरु पिता गुरु हन अति गुरु बिना ए संसार गुरु बिना गुरु बिना ए संसार गुरु बिना ए संसार नाही यार गति रे आश्रय करिया बंद श्री गुरु चरण रे श्री गुरु चरण रे आश्रय सत्य ज्ञाने गुरु बाके जाହାର विश्वास सत्य ज्ञाने गुरु बाके जाହାର विश्वास अवश्य ताहार है ब्रजभूमि वास अवश्य ताहार जार प्रति गुरुदेव अन परसन जार प्रति गुरुदेव कौन विघ्न से नहीं है अवसान कौन विघ्न से नहीं है गुरु रुष्ट हले कृष्ण राखी बारे पारे गुरु रुष्ट हले कृष्ण राखी बारे पारे गुरु रुष्ट हले कृष्ण राखिबारे नारे कृष्ण रुष्ट हले गुरु राखिबारे पारे कृष्ण रुष्ट हले गुरु रुष्ट हले कृष्ण राखिबारे नारे गुरु माता गुरु पिता गुरु हन पति गुरु माता गुरु पिता गुरु हन पति गुरु बिना ए संसारे गुरु बिना ए संसारे गुरु बिना नाही यार गति रे आश्रय करिया बंद श्री गुरु चरण रे आश्रय करिया बंद श्री गुरु चरण रे आश्रय करिया बंद गुरु के मनुष्य ज्ञान ना कर कखन गुरु के मनुष्य ज्ञान ना कर गुरु निंदा कभू करने ना कर श्रवण गुरु निंदु केरा मुख कभू न हेरिबे गुरु निंदु केरा मुख कभू न हेरिबे यथा हय गुरु निंदा तथा न जाइबे यथा हय गुरु निंदा तथा न जाइबे गुरुर विक्रया जदि देख हतन गुरुर विक्रया जदि देख हतन तथापि अवज्ञा नाही कर कदाचन तथापि अवज्ञा नाही कर कदाचन गुरु माता गुरु पिता गुरु हन पति गुरु माता गुरु पिता गुरु हन पति गुरु बिना ए संसारे गुरु बिना गुरु बिना ए संसारे गुरु बिना ए संसारे नाही यार गति रे नाही यार गति रे आश्रय करिया बंद श्री गुरु चरण रे आश्रय करिया बंद जहाँ होते मिले भाई जहाँ होते मिले भाई कृष्ण प्रेम धन रे कृष्ण प्रेम धन रे आश्रय करिया बंद श्री गुरु चरण रे आश्रय गुरु पाद पद्मे रहे जार निष्ठा भक्ति गुरु पाद पद्मे रहे जार निष्ठा भक्ति जगत तारिते से ही घरे महाशक्ति जगत से ही घरे हेन गुरु पाद पद्म करह वंदना हेन गुरु पाद पद्म कर जहा होते घुंचे भाई सकल जंत्रणा घुंचे भाई सकल जंत्रणा गुरु पाद पद्म नित्य जे करे बंधन गुरु पाद पद्म नित्य जे करे बंधन धीरे धरी बंदी आमी तार चरण धीरे धरी बंदी आमी तार श्री गुरु चरण पद्म हृदय करी आस श्री गुरु चरण पद्म हृदय करी आस श्री गुरु वंदना करे सनातन दास गुरु वंदना करे माता गुरु पिता गुरु हनुमते गुरु माता गुरु पिता गुरु हनुमते गुरु बिना ए संसारे गुरु बिना ए संसारे गुरु बिना ए संसारे नहीं यार गति रे नहीं यार गति रे आश्रय करिया बंद श्री गुरु चरण रे आश्रय करिया बंद श्री गुरु चरण रे आश्रय करिया बंद गुरुदेव 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 जय जय गुरुदेव जय जय गुरुदेव जय गुरुपाद पद्म जय गुरुपाद पद्म गुरुपाद पद्म जय गुरुपाद पद्म जय गुरुपाद गौर गोविंद स्वामी पतित पावन गौर गोविंद स्वामी पतित पावन जय गौर गोविंद गौर गोविंद स्वामी आचार्य ठाकुर गौर गोविंद स्वामी आचार्य ठाकुर गौर गोविंद स्वामी आचार्य ठाकुर गुरुदेव 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 जय जय गुरुदेव बड़ कृपा करी गौड़वन माझे गोद्रु में दियाए स्थान गुरुदेव बड़ कृपा करी गौड़वन माझे गोद्रु में दियाए स्थान गुरुदेव बड़ कृपा करी गौड़वन माझे गोद्रु में दियाच स्थान गुरुदेव बड़ कृपा करी गौड़वन माझे गोद्रु में दियाच स्थान आज्ञा दिला मोरे एई ब्रजे बसी हरि नाम कर गान आज्ञा दिला मोरे एई ब्रजे बसी हरि नाम कर गान आज्ञा दिला मोरे एई ब्रजे बसी हरि नाम कर गान गुरुदेव बड़ कृपा करी गौड़वन माझे गोद्रु में दियाच स्थान गुरुदेव बड़ कृपा करी गौड़वन गुरुदेव बड़ कृपा करी गौड़वन माझे गोद्रु में दियाच स्थान गुरुदेव बड़ कृपा करी गौड़वन माझे किंतु कबे प्रभु योग्यता अर्पिबे ए दासेरे दया करी किंतु कबे प्रभु चित्त स्थिर हबे सकल साहिब चित्त स्थिर हबे चित्त स्थिर हबे सकल सहिब चित्त स्थिर एकांते भजीब हरि एकांते भजीब हरि गुरुदेव बड़ कृपा करी गौड़ बन माजे भद्र में दिया स्थान गुरुदेव बड़ कृपा करी गौड़ बन शैशव यौवने जड़ा सुख संगे अभ्यास हईल मंद शैशव यौवने जड़ा सुख संगे निज कर्म दोषे ए देह हईल निज कर्म दोषे ए देह हईल भजनेर प्रतिबंध भजनेर प्रतिबंध गुरुदेव बड़ कृपा करी गौड़ बन माझे भद्र में दिया स्थान गुरुदेव बड़ कृपा करी गौड़ बन माझे बार्धके खन पंचरगे हाथ के मने भजीब बल बाधके कन पंचरगे हाथ के मने भजीब बल कांदिया कांदिया तुम्हार चरणे कांदिया कांदिया तुम्हार चरणे कांदिया कांदिया तुम्हार चरणे कांदिया कांदिया तुम्हार चरणे पड़िया छे सुबी हल पड़िया छे सुबी हल गुरुदेव बड़ कृपा करी गौड़ बन माझे भद्र में दिया स्थान गुरुदेव बड़ कृपा करी गौड़ बन हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, हरे राम हरे राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण राम राम हरे हरे हरि हरि कबे मोर हबे हेन दिन हरि हरि कबे मोर हबे हेन दिन विमल वैष्णवे रति पूजिबे विमल वैष्णवे रति पूजिबे विमल वैष्णवे रति पूजिबे विमल वैष्णवे बासना हइबे क्षीण 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 हरि हरि कबे मोर हबे न दिन हरि हरि कबे मोर हबे न दिन अंतर बाहिरे समव्यवहार अंतर बाहिरे सम अमानि मानद हब अमानि मानद हब कृष्ण संकीर्तने श्री कृष्ण स्मरणे संकीर्तने श्री कृष्ण स्मरणे सतत मजिया रब सतत मजिया रब हरि हरि हबे मोर हबे न दिन हरि हरि हबे मोर हबे न दिन विमल वैष्णवे रति पूजिबे विमल वैष्णवे रति विमल वैष्णवे रति पूजिबे विमल रति पूजिबे बासना हइबे क्षीण बासना हइबे बासना হইবে ক্ষীণ বাসনা হইবে ক্ষীণ বাসনা হইবে ক্ষীণ বাসনা হইবে এ দেহর ক্রিয়া অভ্যাস করিব এ দেহর ক্রিয়া অভ্যাস করে জীবন যাপন লাগি জীবন শ্রীকৃষ্ণ ভজনে অনুকূল যাহা শ্রীকৃষ্ণ ভজনে অনুকূল যাহা তাহে হব অনুরাগী তাহে হব অনুরাগী তাহে হব অনুরাগী তাহে হব অনুরাগী হরি হরি কবে মর হবে না দিন হরি হরি কবে মর হবে না ভজনের যা प्रतिकूलता भजनेर जा प्रतिकूल भजनेर जा प्रतिकूलता भजनेर दूर भावे ते आगिब दूर भावे ते आगिब भजिते भजिते समय आसिले भजिते भजिते ए देह छाड़िया दीब ए देह छाड़िया दीब ए देह छाड़िया दीब ए देह छाड़िया दीब हरि हरि कबे मोर कबे न दिन हरि हरि कबे मोर कबे न दिन विमल वैष्णवे रति पूजिबे विमल वैष्णवे रति पूजिबे बासना हईबे क्षीण 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 भक्ति विनोद ए आशा करी भक्ति विनोद ए आशा करी बसिया गद्रुम बने बसिया गद्रुम बने प्रभु कृपा लगी व्याकुल अंतरे प्रभु कृपा लगी व्याकुल प्रभु कृपा लगी व्याकुल अंतरे प्रभु कृपा लगी सदा कांदे संगोपने सदा कांदे संगोपने सदा कांदे संगोपने सदा कांदे संगोपने हरि हरि कबे मोर कबे न दिन 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 गुरुदेव 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 जय जय गुरुदेव जय गौर गोविंद स्वामी पतित पावन गौर गोविंद स्वामी पतित पावन जय
Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna
Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare.
Understand? Just for the speaker. The speaker sit and they do it like that. Hare Krishna. Welcome to the Vjasa Puja festival of Govinda Swami. They have asked me to be the MC for today, and I'm like the perfect example. If you hang on long enough, you will end up somewhere like here. So please forgive me any of my mistakes and faults while presenting this. I'm just trying to give everybody opportunity to glorify if they want to. And our Srila Gurudev, he said that Vjasa Puja is the glorification of the whole Guru Sampradaya. It's not only for the Guru, but for the whole Sampradaya. And actually when in Bhubaneswar there was Vjasa Puja, our Guru Maharaj, he was always very somber, he was very serious. You couldn't see him laugh, or he was because everybody was praising him. And afterwards he was saying, I do not deserve any of the appraisals. Of course, as disciple we have to do that, but he was more happy when we would speak about Srila Prabhupada glorifying him. So that's why I want to say something about how in the beginning of ISKCON, the Vjasa Puja was organized. So this is one example. Something happened during the 60s. I think somewhere in 1967 or 68. And this is an account of Madhu Dvisa Das, somewhere in America. And Srila Prabhupada, he came to visit a temple. And let's see what happened. So this Prabhu says, the next day was Vyasa Puja. We were not well seasoned. Kirtananda was the most senior, and he has been a devotee for 2 or 3 years. So Srila Prabhupada arrived at the temple about 11:30 a.m., sat on the Vyasasan and said, where is Pushpa? We were thinking, Pushpa? What is Pushpa? So Sudama thought, oh, he wants Pushpa rice, a fancy kind of rice. There is some kind of rice called Pushpa with nuts and curd balls. Sudama immediately started making this rice, which delayed the process even further. So Prabhupada says, where is the feast? But the feast was late. Where is the garland? We didn't have any garlands, and there were no flowers to do the Puspanjali. So Srila Prabhupada said, no Puspanjali, the feast is not ready, you are not saying the right prayers, there is no garland for the deities. How is this Vyasa Puja? This is a disgrace. To Kirtananda he said, you are a senior disciple, don't you know how to celebrate the spiritual master's appearance day? Don't you have any understanding? This is a disgrace. Then he said, tomorrow we will celebrate it properly. He got up and walked out of the door. Kirtananda started to cry, and we were all devastated. The whole temple was full of guests, and everybody felt as if a cold ice pick had been stabbed into the hearts. So Prabhupada called us to his house that same day and said, I will tell you to celebrate Vyasa Puja, and you must not forget it for the rest of your lives. He said, you must have flowers for the Puspanjali. You must stand and offer the flowers to the spiritual master 3 times, bow down 3 times, say the Mangal Charan prayers to the spiritual master, and have the offering ready. The offering has to go on 1 minute before 12, so that it is on the altar at 12. You must also read homages. We didn't have any homages written either. You must have written homages. This is the way to celebrate the appearance of the spiritual master. Srila Prabhupada was very strict with his disciples, and at the same time he was very kind. After you become his disciples, he was still kind, but he wanted you to be trained up in Krishna consciousness for your own spiritual benefit, so that you would know the right things to do and not to be offended by your ignorance. So the next day when Srila Prabhupada came back to the temple, we celebrated Vyasa Puja exactly the same way he wanted us to do it. He was pleased. So this is just an account of how Vyasa Puja was celebrated so many years ago in the beginning time of ISKCON. And like I said, Vyasa Puja is to celebrate all the previous acharyas as well. Last week was Srila Vyasa Puja, Srila Prabhupada Vyasa Puja. So anybody, if they feel they didn't have opportunity to say something in praise of Srila Prabhupada, because most devotees, they don't get opportunity to speak, glorify Srila Prabhupada. Now is a chance you can come forward and speak something about Srila Prabhupada. Our Gurudev would be very pleased with that. So I want to give the opportunity to one Prabhu here, Atul Krishna Prabhu. Would you please come forward and say something?
Pancha kalpa turubhyascha kripa sindhubheva cha potitanam pavaneva vaishnava namo namaha. Om ajnana timirandasya jnananjana shalakaya chakshush unnimilitam jena tasmai Sri Gurave namaha. Namo Vishnu padaya Krishna prasthaya bhutale Srimati Gour Govinda Swami iti namane. Namo Vishnu padaya Krishna prasthaya bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami iti namane. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaudavani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shanvadi Paschatta Desha Tarine. Today I will describe some of the extraordinary achievements in the transcendental life of His Holiness Srila Gour Govinda Swami, Srimad Gour Govinda Swami Maharaj ki. He was born in Orissa. Orissa is mentioned directly by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat as being the Punda Desh where many great Vaishnavas appeared, not far from Jagannath Puri. Gour Govinda Swami was born in a family of Gaudiya Vaishnavas. And Prabhupada describes in Bhagavad Gita that such a birth is very rare. And only one who has been practicing sadhana bhakti in previous lives can enjoy the great fortune of being born in a family of Gaudiya Vaishnavas. In his childhood and youth, he was performing Nam Sankirtan and performing Naga Sankirtan, preaching Krishna consciousness, accompanying his uncle and father in their preaching missions in the villages in Utkal, Orissa. Accompanying his grandfather and uncle. Such an extraordinary feature that even in childhood, even before joining the Krishna consciousness movement established by Srila Prabhupada, already the great soul, Mahabhagavat, Srila Gour Govinda Swami was engaged in Nam Sankirtan in his childhood. He was very attached to the Srimad Bhagavatam, and when he was a young baby, and if he was crying, the mothers would give him the Srimad Bhagavatam, he would be so laced. And he would clasp a copy of the Srimad Bhagavatam to his chest whilst he was sleeping at night. His Holiness appeared in 1929 in Odisha, and he remained in the householder life for 45 years, 45 years, as an ideal Grihashta Vaishnava, performing all of the religious duties of Adarsha Vaishnava Grihasta, of an ideal Vaishnava Grihasta. And then reaching the age of 45 years of age, he feeling his Bahut Utkanta, his extreme desire to take shelter of the lotus feet of Gopal, and he renounced household life. Who renounces household life these days? Who renounces ISKCON? We encourage the Vanaprastha in ISKCON, but the general society, who's interested in sannyas? Such an extraordinary, highly developed spiritual consciousness of His Holiness. I'm reading today, this book was gifted to me as I arrived, and such treasures. I'm reading from the Guru Mukha Padma Bhakya Chitaite Koriya Akka Arna Koriya Mani Asha. The Guru Mukha Padma Bhakya, the words from the lotus feet of the spiritual master. Chitaite Koriya Akka, entering into the heart, one is purified. I'm reading the words of His Holiness. I was born in Odisha. Many Vaishnavas were here. Many mats, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami came to Odisha and established many Gaudiya mats. So many Vaishnavas. I was born in a Vaishnava family. From childhood, I've been attracted to Mahaprabhu. From an early age, I was performing Sankirtan and worshipping Radha Krishna. In my family, we were reading Bhagavatam. Can finish on that point. Where is such exalted? Not in ISKCON. Already so exalted. Vaishnava. Still, in such an atmosphere, still I felt the necessity to search out a bona fide guru. I was a secondary school teacher. I gave up my service, I gave up my family. I had 7 children, boys, family property. I had worked for the government for 25 years, and I was eligible to a government pension for the rest of my life. That's a government pension for working in the state school. I think it's 50,000 rupees a month or more for the rest of your life. What comfortable facilities he had, which he, following in the footsteps, Chakva Putonam Ashesha Mondalapati Shranyam Sada Tuchavat Buddha Dinagano Karunaya Kopina Kantashito Sada Tuchavat, spitting out these facilities of the material world, Buddha Dinaganeshaka Karunaya, in order to show mercy upon the Dinagon, the low class, fallen, forgetful, conditioned souls. I searched throughout India and met many Vaishnavas and many Gyanis and Yogis. We heard that His Holiness, he left home in the middle of the night. Next day he went to the station. He took the train Haridwar, Rishikesh, Himalaya. And I was meeting many yogis. And I was telling them, in the Shastra it says, Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama Eva Kevalam, Kalo Nashteva Nashteva Goti Dannata. Only the chanting of the holy name is effective in this age. They did not like what I said. And I'm asking, why all of this Hatha Yoga, Dhyana Yoga? At last they told me, get out of here. So eventually I came to Vrindavan. Many temples there, and then he saw the sign, International Society for Krishna Consciousness. I entered the compound and saw many Western devotees with shaven heads, tilak and neck beads, chanting Hare Krishna. I was very impressed. Subsequently, His Holiness Govinda he transferred the lives of so many Western people to take up full Krishna consciousness and produce such Vaishnavas out of Dinnahin Najota Chilo, out of the Mlecha Javan class. Most degraded, he's produced the pure Vaishnavas out of as a result of his transcendental association. I'll read more of that later. So upon meeting Srila Prabhupada, the very first meeting, Srila Prabhupada inquired, and this is 74, 75. The very first meeting, came into Prabhupada's presence. Prabhupada said, "Have you taken sannyas?" "No." Maharaj replied, Prabhupada said, "I will give you sannyas." Immediately recognized by his divine grace as his potency, his character, his qualification, immediately recognized by his divine grace, "I will give you sannyas." And Srila Prabhupada, he ordered His Holiness Gaur Govinda Swami Maharaj to preach in Odisha, being from that place, to establish Krishna conscious stronghold in Bhubaneswar, a holy place, an ancient town, the abode of Mahadev Kshetrapal. As one approaches Jagannath Puri, Gosundar himself performed his pastimes in Bhubaneswar, taking bath in the kunds and taking the blessings of Mahadev Kshetrapal before proceeding to Jagannath Puri. Such a holy place. His divine grace, Srila Prabhupada, he allocated the responsibility of establishing Krishna consciousness movement in Bhubaneswar to His Holiness Gaur Govinda Swami. In 1977, Srila Prabhupada, he remained for 17 days on the ISKCON property, which was established by Gaur Govinda Swami Maharaj, and remained in the kutir with His Holiness. Together they remained and performed Harir Bhajan. And at that time, Srila Prabhupada, he, on the appearance day of Lord Nityananda in 1977, he laid the foundation stone for the Krishna Balaram temple. In 1977, Prabhupada. And subsequently, His Holiness, over the subsequent 15 years, he built Srila Prabhupada's temple in Bhubaneswar Krishna Balaram Mandir, which was opened in 1991. Srila Prabhupada instructed His Holiness Gaur Govinda Swami Maharaj to translate his books into Odisha, and His Holiness fulfilled this instruction of Srila Prabhupada. In 1985, he began accepting disciples and traveling the world, fulfilling the instruction of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to all of those born in Bharat. Bharat bhumite hoila manushya ja, janmar shata kore kora para upakar. Specifically directed to those born in Bharat Bhumi, His Holiness Gaur Govinda Swami Maharaj, he fulfilled the instruction of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he fulfilled the instructions of Srila Prabhupada. He traveled all over the world giving shelter to the fallen and the condemned and giving them Krishna consciousness and his ecstatic presentation of Krishna consciousness. We were fortunate on several occasions to take the direct association of His Holiness. Darshana pavitra hoy e tomar gun. And in this way I was purified. Today I'm very honored to be able to, in the association of the Shatam Vaishnav Shammelan, to be able to offer some words of appreciation and glorification of such a transcendental Mahabhagavat Vaishnava, Pujapad Srila Gaur Govinda Swami Maharaj. Srila Gaur Govinda Swami Maharaj, Shubha Vyas Puja Mahamahotsava ki.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for your wonderful clarification, Prabhu. I would like to ask one of you two Prabhus, you want to say something? Yes? Yes? Radha Seva Prabhu, please come.
He's from Gurudevas village, like this. 2 minutes about him.
You can say it, you don't have.
Just 2 minutes you speak. Okay, let him talk then. First introduce yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. Hare Krishna, Om Ajnana-timirandasya Jnana-janasaraka Chakshur-unmritam jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Hare Krishna. First of all, I offer my humble obeisances at the lotus feet of His Holiness Srimad Govinda Swami Guru Maharaj, then all the assembled devotees and Matajis. So I was very fortunate. I was given this chance to speak, to glorify His Holiness. And Mataji, I belong to, first Mataji told that I should give my introduction. So actually, I belong to a place where His Holiness Govinda Maharaj was residing, his uncle's village, Gadaigiri. I belong to village nearby that Gadaigiri. And I had the opportunity to read in that in the high school where His Holiness was reading, that Balikuda High School. I had that opportunity. I am blessed by that. So up to, though I was in Bhubaneswar since 1982, but I had not the opportunity to meet His Holiness. Only in the year 1993, 94 like that. So I had the opportunity to come to ISKCON and meet His Holiness. So since then, I was coming to, so many foreign devotees were there, and Maharaj was giving classes. He was going to abroad so many times, and whenever he comes, there is a great celebration in ISKCON Bhubaneswar. Maharaj distributes the sweets to the devotees, and I was also blessed by giving. I was given that also sweets sometimes. So at that time, at the devotees, in the beginning of ISKCON, while I came to ISKCON, I saw the devotees dancing and chanting Hare Krishna mantra. So like our Nandakishore Prabhu. So I was very much impressed that while dancing and chanting Mahamantra, so I was very much impressed. So I started coming to ISKCON Bhubaneswar slowly. And then I decided to hear the lecture of His Holiness Srimad Govinda Maharaj. So I was eager to hear the lectures. So whenever he goes out, I had not that opportunity to hear. So actually, I was in a government service. My duty is to tour throughout Odisha. So I was not able to hear the classes, but somehow or other I came when I was in Bhubaneswar. I attending that classes, but finally I decided to come to Bhubaneswar, stay in one place. So I took a deputation to another office so that I can hear his lectures. But unfortunately, I came in 1996. At that time, that year, Maharaj disappeared. And here from this dham. So I will give my little experience. So while I was hearing the classes, I was thinking why Maharaj was giving so much stress on these scriptures. I was not able to understand the truth or the effectiveness of shastras, Vedic literatures. But while I was listening to his classes, I began to develop faith in the scriptures. In one of his lectures, Srila Prabhupada Maharaj says, you cannot have faith on scriptures unless you hear it from a bona fide guru or bona fide sadhu. You cannot have develop faith. As it is stated in his Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Adu Shraddha Tata Sadhu Sangha, Adu Shraddha Tata Sadhu Sangha Tata Bhajan Kriya. Like that process is there in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. So when you hear from a exalted devotee, you develop faith in scriptures. Unless you hear, you cannot develop faith. So in this way, I was so much attracted to Vedic literatures. I was so much attracted. Before that, I was not having any idea about Vedic literatures. So one day, I will give my experience. One day, Maharaj asked a question. So many devotees were there. One Maharaj asked a question, and so many devotees were giving the reply to that question. But Maharaj said, you should quote the authority. You should quote the authority. So I was inspired from that point. So I started to try memorize so many verses also. It is by his grace only that I am able to memorize some verses of Srimad Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, Caitanya-charitamrita, all these things. So in this way, though I came to Bhubaneswar around 93, 94 like that, but I was intending to take initiation from him, but I had not the opportunity. So after his departure, I took initiation from His Holiness Bhakti Swarup Damodar Swami Maharaj, and since then I had been serving ISKCON Bhubaneswar up to 2017 or 18 like that. I took voluntary retirement from our government job, and now I'm serving in ISKCON Sambalpur, Burla. That was established by His Holiness Bhakti Swarup Damodar Swami Sripad Maharaj. So in this way, I thank you very much for giving me a chance. So many things are there, but so many devotees are there, they will like to glorify. So I will take your permission to stop my words here. Jai Shri Srimad Govinda Swami Guru Maharaj ki, Jai Shri Prabhupada Maharaj ki, Jai Shri Gurudeva ki, Nidai Gour Premanande.
Thank you, Prabhu, so much for your wonderful glorification. Prabhu, he is from Ganaigiri, the village where Srila Gurudeva was closely connected to, and thank you for your glorification. So now we would like to ask maybe one Mataji to come forward to speak. Who is that? Sri Devi Mataji.
Jana Jana Salakaya Chaksuin Militamina Tasme Sri Gurave Namaha Namaum Vishnu Badaya Caitanya-charitamrita Acharya Murti Vigrahaya Vamango Swami Mane. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopishwa Gopikanta Radhakanta Namostute Sapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Suti Devi Pranamami Hari Priya. So today we're here to honor Gaur Govinda Maharaj. I met Gaur Govinda Maharaj in 1996 when he came to Atlanta. And I had written a book on Mayavadism called Mayavadi Jivani. And I presented him this book. And he was very happy, and he said to me he had just finished doing the Oriya translation of Srimad Bhagavatam from Prabhupada. So he said, let me read it, and I'll talk to you in a couple of days. So 2 days later, 3 days later, when I saw him, he said that I must have followed some discipline to do it. And I said, well, there must be discipline when you write a book. He said, when he was writing Srimad Bhagavatam, translating it from English to Oriya, he made a vow he wouldn't eat until he finished his quota of slokas. And so I said, whoa. I said, what if you didn't finish till nighttime? He said, then I would not eat till nighttime. He had very strong conviction, and he had very, very deep love for Srila Prabhupada. Gour Govinda Maharaj was much senior to me. I was born in 1949. He was born in 1929. So although he looked young, because Indians look young for their age, everybody thought he was their age, but he was not. He was 20 years older. So he was very serious, no nonsense. I have no time to waste. And even as young people, we should think that we have no time to waste. Death can come at any moment, any time, without warning. So we should very seriously take advantage of our situation when we have good health, good minds, and good association. Gour Govinda Maharaj, he was a very fiery speaker. No compromise, no nonsense. He was affectionate. He could be very affectionate, but he was definitely no nonsense, which is typical for somebody who's that age. So I used to go see him time to time when he used to come from the GBC meetings. And on the day he left his body, actually, I met him also. He came down from the GBC meeting, and he looked peaceful. And then we walked him over to his apartment, and we had some talk about Krishna and Gopal Ju. If you've ever seen this deity of Gopal Ju face to face, it's a wonderful deity. It'll remind you of Bunky Rai in Ekachakra. Similar to that, similar in size and similar in mood. And this was the dear deity that Gour Govinda was attracted to. Even now it's in Orissa, in South India, in Gadagiri, a place called Gadadiri. That's where this deity is represented in worship. Gour Govinda's unflinching devotion to ISKCON and his unflinching devotee to Srila Prabhupada sometimes seemed that it went to the extreme. But how can devotion to Guru ever be extreme? It's not possible. We all want Guru Prema. Krishna Prema everyone talks about, but Guru Prema is what we need. It's by the love of the Guru that we make advancement. He loved his Guru, Srila Prabhupada, so much that when Prabhupada came to Orissa, to Bhubaneswar, where the temple was bought, which in that time was just jungle. It was just jungle. Everybody said, Prabhupada, you shouldn't take this land, this and that. Prabhupada said, no, it should be here. Now this property is prime property in Bhubaneswar. Prime property. So at that time, he spent 17 days with Gour Govinda Maharaj. I can just imagine the topics they were discussing. 17 days with your guru at one time. No one else ever got that. Nobody. 17 days? Maybe 5, 6, but 17 days, no. And from that association, of course, Gour Govinda Maharaj grew in stature, grew internally. His understandings deepened. His tattva and siddhanta became very, 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 very profound. And he was trying to give us the exact message like Srila Prabhupada gave him. But we were so young, we could not understand. We could not understand, really. It's like a grandfather trying to teach the grandson. It's too big a jump for the grandson to understand the grandfather. But still the grandfather is giving. He's giving. He's giving very tenderly, very, very, very nicely. So I'll just recite one more pastime that I know. In Jagannath Puri, to build the Ratha Yacha carts, they need these special trees. And these trees have to grow a long time before they can be cut, because they have to be big enough that a single deity can be made from the trunk. There's no adding parts. We see some deities, you see the arms are added, and no. With Jagannath, it has to be a single piece of wood, like a block of marble. And from that, then they carve the deity. So Gour Govinda Maharaj noticed that in Orissa, these trees are getting harder and harder to find. So what he did was, he made an agreement, he made a proposal to the Orissan government to give him 150 acres of land. And with this land, he would specifically only grow these trees. So Jagannath would be able to have his Ratha Yatra carts and deities in the future. And so the government authorized this, and he planted, I don't know, 20,000 of these trees, or at least 10,000 of these trees in the 150 acres. So in the future, they'll always be able to have Ratha Yatra, and they'll always be able to cut them down at the right time, so Jagannath will be served. So he gets mercy for that, for Jagannath. And then all the books that he did, all his wonderful disciples. Actually, I don't know his disciples, but I know his grand disciples. I've met them in Bali, I've met them in Europe. His grand disciples are wonderful. I mean, wonderful, you know. That means they were trained properly. Everything comes down to training. How much training did you have before you became a devotee? The more association with Guru, the more association with devotees, the more solid is your foundation, and you're able to grow, and you're able to evolve very quickly in Krishna consciousness. Okay, I don't want to take up too much time. I just want to give my heartfelt appreciation to Gour Govinda, who was affectionate to me. And I still remember his state of mind. He came down the stairs. He wore silk. He liked to wear silk, beautiful silk. And he just walked with us, seemed like he was pensive. And we were just talking like, oh, today's Bhaktisiddhanta's appearance day, because he left his body on Bhaktisiddhanta's appearance day. I mean, this is big time. This is not small time. And so we said, did you get a chance to celebrate? And he says, yes, I celebrated early in the morning, and I'll do something later. And we walked him to his place. He went upstairs. 2 people wanted to have some questions with him. A half hour later, devotees ran to me and said, Gour Govinda Maharaj left his body. Gour Govinda Maharaj left his body. So we ran back, and then he had left his body. And so, anyway, he was a Mahabhagavat. I had affection for him, and I respect him very much. Vanchal kalpadarubhyascha kripasevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Thank you.
Thank you, Maharaj, for this impromptu glorification. Yes. Mataji, please.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. My most humble obeisances to all the assembled Vaishnavas. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyaevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. It is a great honor to be here and to speak a few words in glorification of His Holiness Gour Govinda Swami Maharaj. And I humbly pray to all the Vaishnavas to empower me with the ability to speak these words. His Holiness Chandramauli Swami, my Gurudev, was the first person to tell me about Gour Govinda Maharaj, because he was here in Mayapur at one time and he said, I will now go to attend the Vjasa Puja ceremony of His Holiness Gour Govinda Swami Maharaj. And what was the first time I had heard of Maharaj. Later on, I came in contact with his books, and when I read about Guru Tattva, The prose was so powerful, the writing was so clear, the spirit was so emphatic. I could understand that this is a divine personality from the spiritual world who's giving me this knowledge. This is not ordinary writing. And I could understand how powerful is Gour Govinda Maharaj. And it was revelatory for me to hear about Guru Tattva through His Holiness Gour Govinda Swami Maharaj. And I can honestly say I have never had any doubts about Guru after that point. Thank you, Maharaj. Another thing I want to mention is how much Gurudev, His Holiness Gour Govinda Maharaj, loved his disciples. And I will share a personal experience that brings this home to me. I don't know how many of you know, but I am a mental health professional, I'm a therapist. And there was a young lady, not so young, but a lady who was a disciple of Maharaj coming to me for therapy. This was many years after Maharaj had left the planet. Somehow she was attracted to a very abusive personality, and she was in a relationship with him. And I was very concerned about her safety. At every session, we would pray to Maharaj to give her guidance, to give her wisdom, because somehow I was not able to convince her that this is not good for her, to put herself in a situation where her life is at risk. She would come to me and she would be very much upset, but somehow she could not make that break. Then one day, after quite a few sessions and prayers to Maharaj, she told me about a very fearful incident when she was physically attacked and she ran out of the home in fear for her life. After that, she never looked back. She never re-entered that abusive relationship again. And I said, your Gurudev has saved you. He has saved your life. Because even though he's not here, he's here. When we say, he reasons ill who say Vaishnavas die when thou art living still in sound. The Vaishnavas live to die, and in living, spread the holy name around. So his power, his protection for that young disciple was still there, and it's eternal. So by this we can understand how much the Guru loves his disciple and how much he wants the very best for his disciple to come closer and closer and closer to Krishna. Why am I saying this? Because I'm in a woman's body. And I know there are a lot of women being abused. There are a lot of women going through domestic violence. Yes, a lot of women living in fear of their lives. So this is what I want to say. Our life is very precious. And Guru and Krishna love us so deeply, and they want us back in the spiritual world. So nothing should come in the way of our going forward in our Krishna conscious life. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Mataji. Maybe we could ask one other Mataji to come forward to speak. Yes.
Sorry, Maharaj didn't listen.
Yes. So, Ambika Mataji, are you ready to make some offering? Thank you so much. Okay.
Talked to me many times.
Panchakalpadrubhasya kripasinubhyeva patitanam pavan vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Thank you very much for allowing me to speak. My connection with Gour Govinda Maharaj began in 1977 and 78 when it was through my ex-husband, because he had been staying with Gour Govinda Maharaj in Bhubaneswar, and he was so impressed because Maharaj, for a start, was very loving towards him and kind, and he hadn't experienced that from the other sannyasis in the movement, and he was very happy there in Bhubaneswar. A very simple life, was so austere, just a couple of huts, and then the deity's hut was there. And but he wanted to get married, so when Srila Prabhupada came there, beginning of 77, I think, he asked Srila Prabhupada about getting married, and Srila Prabhupada said, well, how will you support a wife? And he was like, oh no. So anyway, in the end, he went to Bombay, met Jasumati Nandan from Gujarat, and he said, oh, I'll arrange a wife for you. You can come to Ahmedabad. So we ended up getting married and going to Ahmedabad, but we were making life members, but he was always thinking, I want to go back to Bhubaneswar, I want to serve Maharaj. So we came back to Cuttack, actually. Cuttack is about an hour and a half on the bus from Bhubaneswar. And we were living in the back of a very nice Gujarati family's home, and we would be making life members, giving out books, collecting money, and once a month we would go to Bhubaneswar to hand over the collections. Now I'm talking now about Gour Govinda Maharaj being in his sannyas leela, so don't take offense. But when we would go there, he was very strict in his sannyas, and we would go into the hut, mud hut, and hand over the collections, and he would talk to my husband, and he would look at my husband, and I'd just be sitting there. He wouldn't look, he wouldn't speak. So after a while, often I'd get up and go out because I felt very uncomfortable. So, and I also was told by many people he does not like Western women. Now, I know that once he became guru, that all changed, and he was very loving and very compassionate. But we are talking, he was like the perfect sannyasi. He was so renounced. As Maharaj was saying, he had a vow, so the devotees would bring in lunch and sit it there. There was no furniture, there was just like a desk he had in this hut. And they would sit this prasadam there on the side. And Maharaj was busy translating, and they'd come in, at 4 o'clock, Maharaj, you haven't eaten? He said, oh, I'm busy translating, because he was very absorbed when he was translating. He was so ecstatic doing this, and he got so familiar with Prabhupada's books because translating every word. That's the service Srila Prabhupada had given him. So then they'd come in 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, Maharaj. Sometimes midnight he'd come back, and they'd just sleep on mats. He had no special treatment. So he was like a perfect sannyasi. So, okay, so we had a legal marriage in Gujarat, but we hadn't had a fire yagya. So we were going to Orissa, we were going to Bhubaneswar to have a fire yagya. So Bhagavat Das from America, American-bodied, he was going to do the sacrifice. The night before the fire yagya, the authorities came to catch him, to arrest him, because he'd overstayed his visa. So he had to run through the fields to get away. And, no mobile phones, so we arrived down from Cuttack in our 50 rupee cotton saris and dhotis, brand new wedding gear, 50 rupees each we were given. So we arrived there for the wedding and no priest. So Gour Govinda Maharaj was so kind that he performed the wedding. And it was kind of out in the dirt, there was nothing there, nothing was really growing. So we kind of sat in the baked earth and had the fire yagya, and walked around the fire. We had one witness, that was Tamohar. He was busy cooking the feast of rice, dal and sabji. So he wandered out and had a look a few times, and that was it. That was the wedding. Anyway, it was very kind of him. I really appreciated it. So we were there for 1.5 years, coming down once a month. And then we went back to Australia. So then he started taking disciples, and I was so glad because I knew how qualified he was to take disciples. And he came a few times to Australia, and he's so sort of alive when he's preaching. So he would give these beautiful Bhagavatam classes and sing bhajans in the middle, and they were very long compared to the normal classes. And but it was wonderful. His Guru Tattva was so excellent, and his knowledge of the Shastra was just so perfect and very. He didn't mince words. He was very direct. And then sometimes he came up to the Gurukul. Each year that he was there, he would come up to the Gurukul, and he would have the little kids sitting in front of him. And he had some difficulty understanding, because they had a very Australian accent, so he couldn't kind of understand what they were saying. So he'd have to get someone to, what did he say? But the kids just loved him. He was so affectionate, with the children. They really loved him. So I think that was all I was going to say. Oh yes, Maharaj had mentioned that 2 people had gone to see Gaur Govinda Maharaj on Srila Bhaktisiddhanta's appearance day. They were my close friends, my god sister Chandrika and my friend Vajjayantimala. So they had been asking him about the truths of, the reason for Rath Yatra and, Krishna, the gopis pulling Krishna back to Vrindavan. And when the gopis being almost unconscious. So Chandrika was kind of saying, and then what happened, Maharaj? And then what happened? And then what happened? So Maharaj was talking. And after around an hour, he said, please forgive me, I can't speak anymore. So they offered obeisances. They went downstairs. 2 minutes later, someone came running down. Where's the Kaviraj? Where's the Kaviraj? And Maharaj had peacefully sat there and left his body after that beautiful katha of talking about the gopis coming to Vrindavan. So what a great soul, and thank you very much for letting me share that. And all glories to Srila Gaur Govinda Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Mataji. Wonderful. We have now maybe Purnamasi Mataji. Purnamasi Mataji, please. We would like to request everybody to come a little bit to the front because there's no more space in the back. So, Prabhu, your camera. That's okay?
Hare Krishna. Nice to see you all here. The first time, the last one, I saw Gaur Govinda Maharaj was in 95. He went to Portugal. And if you were here last years, you know the story because I tell only this one because it's precious to me, it's the only one. But I'd like you to hear again. So 95, Govinda Maharaj was coming to Porto, our temple. We were very poor. We had no facilities to accommodate him. And he was very big. So we somehow managed to find a place in a guest house near the temple. So I was back in that time. I could not understand so much philosophy, but I was with my mind and heart open. So I was paying attention to everything that I was hearing and seeing. So someone said, oh, Maharaj is coming. Okay, let's go. We went down to the street. And then many cars came and many devotees came outside. And they were huge. White skin, blonde hair, and blue eyes. They were from North Europe. There were around 30 devotees. And everyone was in expectation. what is happening with this, what is happening. Then Maharaj came outside of the car, and immediately all of the devotees, they bowed down in the street. And I was completely in shock. Oh my God, what are they doing? The street is dirty. Why are they doing that? But I could understand that something was very important there. And I said, okay, I need to pay more attention to this. And Gour Govinda Maharaj came upstairs. The temple was in the second floor. And I could see the difference of the body. Okay, they were white, he was blackish, they were tall and thin, he was fat. And again, I said, okay, something is going on here, it's important, let's watch what is happening. And as you know, Gour Govinda Maharaj said, okay, come closer, come closer, come closer. And all of them were near the Vyasasana, completely, almost touching his feet. And he started his class. And as you know, any class was a festival. He was playing, he was singing, he was chastising people, asking questions, and you know. And long class. It was around more than 2 hours. I was with pain in my back. Unfortunately, I could not stay till the end, but you know, his classes were very personal classes. What I want to say as a glorification to him is this. I could see the love he was inspiring in his devotees. They really loved him. It was not only liking or admiration or feeling inspired by him. No, it was pure love. And it was an amazing experience to me. And I could understand, oh my God, this is real. I don't know this person, I don't know the disciples, but I can feel it's a very powerful personality. He's a wonderful person, and they love him. And to me, it was a very important experience because I never met Srila Prabhupada, but through the example of Gour Govinda Maharaj, his relationship with his disciples, I could imagine how powerful was the loving relationship between our Srila Prabhupada and his disciples. And that for me it was a precious revelation, because I was wondering, how was Prabhupada, who was Prabhupada, how was his relationship with their disciples. And through Gour Govinda Maharaj and his disciples, I could see, oh my God, they loved him also. So I'm very grateful to Gour Govinda Maharaj because of that. And I want to acknowledge that we are here, year after year, glorifying him. And what I can see in my heart, very powerful, is that he is a very special person. Very, very special person. And I loved the fact that he says, everything is in ISKCON. Everything is inside Srila Prabhupada's books. And to me, because I feel Prabhupada as my special, not Guru, Diksha, but Siksha, special. To me, it's very important to see that someone is humble enough, powerful enough, and strong enough to say, no need to leave ISKCON, no need to go outside the Srila Prabhupada's books. And there is another one, he said 3 things, I don't remember the third one. If you can tell me the third one. What did he say? 3. Huh? Everything is in Srila Prabhupada's books. Okay, anyway, thank you very much for coming. Let's go on glorifying him me personally, I'm very grateful to Govinda Maharaj. Okay? Hare Krishna to everyone.
Thank you so much, Mataji. I think in so when Gurudev came to Europe in Portugal in '95, he came from Netherlands where we were staying, and he was coming to Portugal. So I was not in Portugal, but I heard one of our godbrothers, he was there, and as the whole group was in the street and everybody was paying obeisances, he was walking backwards like that, and then he fell into the sewer. So everybody had a big laugh. Also our Gurudev, he had a big laugh because, this was so funny what happened. Please.
ज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते गौरगोविन्द स्वामी इति नामिने। गुरुदेव।
Hare Krishna, he is Nanda Kishore Das. He has taken initiation from His Holiness Govinda Maharaj, and he was staying in Bhubaneswar, attending his, doing his services there. He was also personal assistant to His Holiness Govinda Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
You can sit too.
Nice standing.
Yes, Maharaj.
हरे कृष्ण। मु कटकरे थिला समय रे दुई जन ब्रह्मचारी मो पाखु आसथिले। मु चिंता कली मु तमर भलिया हेई परिबे कि।
While he was in Katak, at that time, two brahmacharis came to him. So he was thinking, can I be like you?
से मते कहिथिले कृष्ण कृपा कले गुरु मिले, गुरु कृपा कले कृष्ण मिले। तेणु मु काठ जोड़ी नदी की जाऊली गाधेया पाई देखिली गोटे कृष्ण फोटो पड़ी। कृष्ण बंशी बजाउछन्ति रास्ता रे पड़ी।
He was going to take his bath in Kathajodi river, that is in Katak. So he saw a photo of Lord Krishna falling in the ground. He saw.
से फोटोटा को आनिकी मो रूम रे लगेकरी तब पूजा कली। मते गोटे शुद्ध भक्त माने गुरु गोटे मिलू मुझे सद्गुरु पाइबी से कृपा मते करंतु।
For that he brought that photo and kept it in his room, and he was worshipping him on the hope that he will get a bona fide guru.
ठीक 3 मास भितर मते गोटे खबर आसिला ए आमे जिबा भुवनेश्वर जिबा संडे प्रोग्राम होछि।
Within 3 months he got a news that we will go to Bhubaneswar. There will be a Sunday program there.
मु देखिले गौर गोविंद स्वामी गुरुदेव मो गुरुदेव क्लास दउचंती संडे प्रोग्राम 300 लोक बसचंती मु बसी पल्ली सुनिया पई।
So he saw His Holiness Govinda Maharaj was giving lecture, and there were 300 people there. So he also sat there.
तो जतले गुरुदेवंकर क्लास मु सुनिली 3टा पॉइंट रे मोर पूरा हाथ मो हृदय को पूरा टच कला।
3 points touched his heart.
प्रथम होजी अप ट्रेन डाउन ट्रेन दुई जन भक्त दुई जन सांग ओल्हे आछंती पूरा कोला कोली हे जंती ना ट्रेन पड़ी।
Two friends met in one place. They were coming in different trains, but while they were embracing each other, at that time trains left.
मोर हृदय को बहुत माने हृदय स्पर्श कला।
That touched his heart, that point.
द्वितीय पॉइंट हूँ जे दुई जन बहुत बड़ लोक बहुत पैसा अच्छी किंतु राति शोई पारनी निद होनी ताको
Second point is that there are so many rich persons are there, but they are not able to sleep in the night.
तार बहुत बड़ बड़ कुकुर अच्छी मेडिसिन खाइले मध्य तार निद होनी
Even if he takes sleeping pill, he cannot sleep. There are so many dogs also in that house.
साधु पाखु आसछन्ती साधु पाखरे क्लास सुनुछन् भागवत क्लास सेठी सोई पड़छन्
So they came to a sadhu, a gentle person, and they were listening to this lecture on Vedic literature, and at that time they were able to sleep.
क्लास सैला पर मध्य सोईची ताको जेतेले शिष्य माने उठेगा आसिले गुरु मैंने मेडिसिन खाइछन्
Even if the class is over, still then he is sleeping. So the other disciples came to wake him up, but the Gurudev said, no, he is giving medicine.
बहुत समय पर उठिला पर एमितिया निद केबे ताको हेई नथिला एमितिया केबे सोई नथिला से तापरे महाराज पाखु जेतेले कहला महाराज आपण बहुत सुंदर निद हला मोर किंतु आपण मेडिसिन किछि कहिदेले दवा पई दियंतु महाराज कहले काली आसो भागवत क्लास समय.
So after sleeping for a long time, then he came to Gurudev and asked, Gurudev, you told to give me some medicine, you please give me. So Gurudev said, no, you come next, tomorrow you come.
भागवत क्लास.
And in the Bhagavad class.
धीरे धीरे से बड़ लोकटा कृष्ण भक्त हो गला ये मत बहुत हृदय को स्पर्श कला.
Slowly that person, a very rich person, slowly he became a devotee of the Lord. So that point touched his Prabhu, in this case, Nanda Kishore Prabhu.
तृतीय पॉइंट पांथशाला जड़े जगन्नाथ को दर्शन करने जाऊँगी कि पांथशाला गोटे राति रहा कथा किंतु से पांथशाला फैसिलिटी देखिकी 8 दिन रहीगला.
The third point that touched him is that Panthasala means a resting place where people rest in order to take darshan of the Lord. On the way they were taking rest, that is called Panthasala. That in that Panthasala there are so many so many facilities are there that instead of staying one day, he stayed for more than around 8 days.
तो सब फैसिलिटी से जो ठंडा गरम बहुत सुंदर गद्दी पड़ी तकिया पड़ी तार मजीगला जगन्नाथ को भूलीगला.
He forgot a lot because he was so much enamored by the facilities in that resting place.
ये जो 3टा पॉइंट रे मोर हृदय स्पर्श कला मु आसी बहुत शीघ्र भुवनेश्वर जॉइन कर इस्कॉनर जॉइन कर.
These 3 points touched his heart so that he immediately came and joined ISKCON Bhubaneswar.
मु गोटे कथा कहूँ प्रैक्टिकल कथा जे गुरुदेव जिते प्रभुपाद कृष्ण बलराम मंदिर बने देले से समय कृष्ण बलराम प्रतिष्ठित हो गले तापरे आमर जे हेड पुजारी थिले से गोटे स्वप्न देखले.
Another point he is saying that while Krishna Balaram temple was established in Bhubaneswar, there is a head pujari there. He saw a dream.
से आसिले गुरुदेव पाखक गुरुदेव कहले गुरुदेव मु काली गोटे स्वप्न देखली कृष्ण मंदिर नहांती से जाइछन्ती एकाम्र कानन गोटे जंगल को जाइछन्ती कृष्ण सिटी गोटे नील साड़ी पिंधि गोटे झीटा आसी ता सहित कथबार्ता होछन्ती.
In that dream he saw that Krishna is not in the temple. He went to another place that is called Ekamra Kanan, that is nearby Bhubaneswar, the old town Bhubaneswar. And there Krishna has met a girl who is having a blue sari.
तो कृष्ण से झील सहित कथबार्ता होछन्ती से मंदिर रहूना गुरुदेव से 2 थर कहला परे गुरुदेव कहला अच्छा से नटखटू को आम बांधिकी रखा.
He said this point 2 times to Gurudev. Then Gurudev thought, okay, we will tie that Krishna in our temple.
साइड रे गोटे गोपीनाथ मंदिर गले लोटस टेम्पल सेठी राधा गोपीनाथ को रखिले से दिन कृष्ण जाऊना
So you see, and our temple is Bhubaneswar. There is a nearby temple, near side that lotus temple. There Radha Gopinath is there. So from that day, Krishna doesn't go outside.
जगन्नाथ जी भुवनेश्वर जगन्नाथ पूजा पाउछंती जने भक्त तांको पूजा करुथिले तांको पुओ साई बाबा भक्त हो गले बापा चली गले जगन्नाथ को सुंदर सेवा करते बापा चलीगला पर जगन्नाथ स्वप्न दी कहले तोर बापार भक्ति मो पाखे थिला किंतु तोर साई पाखे प्रीति अच्छी साई बाबा तेणुक मु तो पूजा नेबिनी तो ये नयापल्ली गोटे धड़ा मंदिर अच्छी तो दे बाबा को.
So that you might be hearing, you might knowing that Prabhupada Maharaj has said that Lord Jagannath will come to this temple. So that incident he is explaining that once the person, a big, a rich person, he was having this Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra. You see in our temple in this Bhubaneswar, they were worshipping that temple, but his children, they instead of worshipping Lord Jagannath, they worshipped Satya Sai. So Lord gave Lord gave instructions to that person that you are not worshipping me, your father was worshipping me, you are worshipping Sai, so you give me into that temple, in a white temple that is in Bhubaneswar, and near CRP.
तो से लोक आसी गुरुदेव को कहले जे मोर गोटे बड़ बड़ जगन्नाथ अच्छा जे मो सेवा से चाहूना आपण पाक आसपा चाहूँगी आपण रखिए कि आपण जब कहे मुझे देदेवी.
So that person came and asked our Gurudev that I am having so big deities, Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra, and they don't want to stay in my place, so they want to stay here. Can you accept them?
तो गुरुदेव दुई जन को पठेले, दुई जन भक्त को पठेले शिष्य को से जाए देखी आसिले बहुत सुंदर जगन्नाथ आम आनिमा कि गुरुदेव कहले ना मु प्रभुपाद को पचारि.
So Gurudev sent two persons to see the deities. They say yes, very nice deities, but Gurudev said no, I will ask Prabhupada first.
प्रभुपाद को से गुरुदेव प्रभुपाद सहित कथा हेले प्रभुपाद कहले हाँ सही जगन्नाथ रामायण.
Gurudev talked to Prabhupada Maharaj in the year 1991. At that time Prabhupada was not there, but he was talking to him. So Prabhupada said, yes, you bring them.
बर्तमान से जगन्नाथ आसिले से बर्तमान भुवनेश्वर पूजा पाँच बहुत आकर्षण जिते भक्त सब आगे जगन्नाथ पाखे छिड़ा होती जेहेतु प्रभुपाद कही गौर गोविंद तुम्हें कृष्ण बलराम गौरनीताई सिंहासन कर जगन्नाथ करनी जगन्नाथ स्वयं आसवे.
I have already said that. Prabhupada Maharaj said it that that is foretold like that Jagannath will come here.
एबे जगन्नाथ पूजा पाउछंती जेहेतु प्रभुपाद कहितले आसीबे गुरुदेव पाखु आसिले गुरुदेव पूजा करछंती.
So now Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra are now being worshipped in ISKCON temple, Bhubaneswar.
गुरुदेव जगन्नाथपुर जन्मस्थान जगतसिंहपुर डिस्ट्रिक्ट तीर्तोल जगन्नाथपुर तांकर जन्मस्थान से सेठ रुहंती. थरे बहुत जोरे पार्टी करी कहले गोपाल मु तेते दर्शन करिया जीवी.
So Gurudev's birthplace is Jagannathpur in near Paradip. So one day he told in very loud voice, Gopal, I will go to see you.
20 किलोमीटर दूर डाकिले गोपाल मुझे दर्शन करिया जीवी. गोपाल जानी पकेला जो मोर भक्त आसबाजी किंतु आड़े पूजारी कहते नना को जो पूजा करते छोट पिला गोपाल छोट पिला ताको 11टा बेले खाया देकी शोईदेबू मंदिर बंद करदेबू.
So Gopal heard that, but Govinda Maharaj had said to that Pujari that Gopal is very small, so you should give him food by 11 a.m. and then put him to sleep.
तो गोपाल जानी मो भक्त आसब से रोषेईवास कर देछि पूजारी तार चाबीटा हजे देछंती मंदिर चाबी.
So that Pujari though he has finished cooking, but he couldn't give that food to the Lord because the Lord has taken away that key. He has misplaced that key, Lord.
ଗୁରୁଦେବ ଯେତେବେଳେ ପାଖକୁ ପଳେଇ ଆସିଲେ ଗୋପାଳ ମନ୍ଦିର ପାଖକୁ ସେ ପୂଜାରୀ ଦେଖିଲା ସେ ଚୁଲି ପାଖରେ ଚାବି ଅଛି।
So when Gurudev came, that Pujari saw that key is there in that near that chuli or that fireplace.
ପୂଜାରୀ ଖୋଲି ଭୋଗ ଲଗେଇଲା। ଭୋଗ ଲଗେଇ ସାରିଲା ବେଳକୁ 12:30 ବାଜିଗଲାଣି। ସେଠୁ କହିଲେ ଏ ମୁଁ ତୁମକୁ କହିଥିଲି 11ଟା ବେଳକୁ ଖାଇବା ଶୟନ ଦେଇଦେବ, ଏତେ ସମୟ କ'ଣ ନା ମୋର ଚାବି ହଜିଯାଇଥିଲା, ମୁଁ ଏବେ ଲଗାଉଛି। ତାପରେ ସବୁ ଗୁରୁଦେବ ପ୍ରସାଦ ପାଇଲେ। ତାପରେ ଗୁରୁଦେବ କହିଲେ ଦେଖ ଏ ନଟଖଟ ମୋତେ ଦର୍ଶନ ଦେବ ବୋଲି, ପ୍ରସାଦ ଦେବ ଦର୍ଶନ ଦେବ ବୋଲି ଚାବିଟାକୁ ହଜେଇ ଦେଇଛି।
So Gurudev said that why you are so late? I said you to give prasad, give bhog to the Lord by 11 a.m. So why it is 12:30? So that Pujari said that actually I have prepared all the foods, but the key was lost by the Lord. And so I got it now, so that's why I offered it at 12:30 a.m.
तो गुरुदेव प्रसाद पाइले। प्रसाद पाइला बेलू चिंता कले, देख मु 20 किलोमीटर दूर डाकिदेली गोपाल में जाऊँगी से मो पाई प्रसाद दर्शन रखी।
So Gurudev realized that although I have asked for him 20 kilometers away, still then Gopal waited for me.
प्रसाद देले, दर्शन देले, गुरुदेव को विश्राम देले और गोपाल सोइले।
So in that way he came and gave that food to the Lord, then put him to rest.
जय श्री श्री राधा गोपाल जी की
जय।
गौर गोविंद स्वामी श्री गुरुदेव की
जय।
गौर प्रेमानंद जी।
जय श्री नंद किशोर प्रभु की।
Okay. And you call Anupam Prabhu to speak.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhu, Nanda Kishore. He is here with a group of devotees from Gadaigiri village. They did kirtan before the program started from 10 to 11. And they will go to the Pushpa Samadhi now to do some kirtan there. And after that, we will join them also. Thank you so much. So, Anupam Srivas, Prabhu.
A message by His Grace Bhakti Siddhanta Prabhu, disciple of Srila Prabhupada and the god brother of Srila Gour Govind Swami Maharaj. Hare Krishna, please accept my respectful obeisances, Srila Gour Govind Swami Maharaj. I always get inspiration from your ideal life of being a devotee and spiritual master. I do remember when you were in Mayapur some days before your departure, you were not feeling well and were unconscious. Devotees were very worried for your health. That time Srila Prabhupada's god brother came and just with the first glance he said, you are not sick and these are the bhava stage symptoms. That's the level of your spirituality which cannot be perceived by the material blunt senses. Your appearance, activities and departure are as glorious as you yourself. Your meeting with Srila Prabhupada and the quick sannyas itself confirms your divine position and your relationship with Srila Prabhupada. You were completely detached from any position, whatever and whenever you got something. You took every opportunity to serve Guru and Gauranga, whether it was being a book translator, temple manager, Guru or GBC. You led a life fully dedicated and surrendered to our spiritual master, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada and your beloved Gopal Jiu DT in Gadaigiri. Your purity reflects in your words, lectures, messages and conversation. Even the young devotees who are joining ISKCON when they hear you, they feel deeply touched by your purity and the message of Krishna consciousness. Once in Bhubaneswar, when you were translating from Sanskrit to Oriya, there were few words which were not found in your Sanskrit dictionary. But you had firm conviction in Guru words that Srila Prabhupada used it, so these words must be there. Later on, with the help of a Sanskrit scholar, you were able to trace those Sanskrit words. Your faith in Guru words deeply touched me. You are the precious asset of our ISKCON who will inspire the devotees generation after generation. O Maharaj, please never forget your worthless god brother Bhaktisiddhanta Das. Inspired by the glories heard from His Grace Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhu, I have written this poem to offer Sri Srimad Gour Govind Swami Maharaj. You appeared in Orissa in the family of devotees. You exhibited so many wonderful qualities. Despite being a child, you were not interested to play, as Srimad Bhagavatam and Caitanya-charitamrita were always kept in your heart's tray. Gopalji, your beloved deity to worship. Your Vani sung is ocean of mercy, where generations after generations devotee would like to dip. I never saw you physically, but fortunate to have your video clip. Your roaring words purifies the internal consciousness chip. You met Prabhupada in 1974 and in 1975 took sannyas. Serving Guru and Gauranga, your only abhilas. You went Bhubaneswar with no resource, no money, and made the temple so magnificent and lovely. You are always there to bless the conditioned soul, but on this special occasion, you accelerate your merciful goal. You are delivering millions. Why not me? That's not fair. I please beg your blessings to become sincere. Your appearance caused the ignorance to disappear. Your message to do kirtan and kirtan is all clear. To Krishna you are very, very dear. You left so early because separation from Krishna you can't bear. Finishing this poem with eyes filled with tear. We aspire to be servant of your servants, Anupam Shrivas Das, Divya Bhakti Devi Dasi and Sadhvi. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much for this wonderful glorification and the poem also, especially. Sitaram Prabhu, please come to forward. There's lots of place here in the front, please.
Hare Krishna. Om Ajnanatimandasya Jnananjana Srimata Tasmai Shri Guru Namaha. Hare Krishna. So I'm very fortunate to be here with all of you, celebrating the Vjasa Puja of His Holiness Srila Gour Govinda Swami Maharaj. So it's a very, very special day, and Maharaj is a very, very special leader in our movement, and he plays a very special role because one of the very special reasons was once I heard from Jayadvaita Maharaj. He was glorifying Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj. He said that Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj had that special position because he was very mature in age, because when he met Srila Prabhupada, he was already done with his Grihastha ashram. Above that, he was born a Vaishnava, a Gaudiya Vaishnava. Fully, in a very young age, he was 7-8 years old or 10, within 10-12 years, he read the whole Srimad Bhagavatam, and he also completed the Caitanya-charitamrita. Memorized it very well. And when he met Srila Prabhupada, he has already gone through his Grihastha life searching for a spiritual master to take sannyas. In 74, he meets and he gets, sannyas next year. And Srila Prabhupada made one statement on his sannyas. Because there were 2 dandas prepared for the sannyas. One was Pushta marriage, no, I don't remember exactly. But the second danda was for whom nobody knew till the next day, when Srila Govinda Maharaj directly came to take sannyas. So everyone was wondering that one danda is fixed, who is taking sannyas? Who is the second danda? And Srila Govinda Maharaj arrived and sat there for his sannyas. And then when they heard senior devotees, Srila Prabhupada, senior men, the white Western leaders, when they heard this, they asked, they told him that Srila Prabhupada, he is new. Srila Prabhupada said, he is not new, you all are new. He is very senior. Srila Prabhupada said, he is not new. Because Srila Prabhupada saw, because the way he met him, and Srila Govinda Maharaj very beautifully narrates. Generally his lectures are very bold, but when he's sharing something in relation to Srila Prabhupada, very deep, he goes very low and he shares, they were all talking. Srila Prabhupada, he's new. But Prabhupada said, no, he's not new. He said, when I met Srila Prabhupada, I went to Vrindavan temple. I had actually traveled the whole country searching for a guru to take sannyas. And he got the Back to Godhead magazine, and then he read International Society for Krishna Consciousness, and he came to know that the founder Acharya, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada is in Vrindavan. So he goes there. And Govinda Maharaj mentioned that the Guru knows the heart. And then he recites his own story. He says that when he met Srila Prabhupada, Brahmananda Swami was there outside waiting. And he saw one Indian sadhu. And many sadhus would come and meet Srila Prabhupada. In Vrindavan especially. So he told, one Indian sadhu wants to meet you. He said, get him in. Srila Prabhupada glanced at Srila Govinda Maharaj, looked at his eyes. And there was few seconds of silence. And there was not much conversation. Srila Prabhupada just asked him one thing. Did you take sannyas? He said, no. Srila Prabhupada said, I will give you sannyas. I will give you sannyas. Now, Srila Govinda Maharaj left home to take sannyas. And then he mentions in his lecture that Guru knows the heart, because 3 things Govinda Maharaj was very intimate after he was in the phase of leaving his home. First, he wanted to search his sannyas guru and take sannyas. Second, he writes in his letter to Srila Prabhupada about his attachment to Gopal. He wanted to get Gopal to ISKCON, and there's a beautiful letter in this book, how he writes to Srila Prabhupada to get his permission if he could bring Gopal to ISKCON. ISKCON belongs to Gopal anyways, but he wanted to officially take permission. Second thing was, he was always having Gopal in his consciousness, in his mind. And third thing was, he wanted to preach in Odisha. So all the 3 Srila Prabhupada gave him, all the 3 Srila Prabhupada gave him. And Maharaj's position, as I was mentioning, he was already elder in age. He was quite, he was in late 40s or early 50s. When he met Srila Prabhupada, he was 45. He was 45, and by the time Srila Prabhupada left, he was 48. And then another 5-8 years after Srila Prabhupada left, our movement went to a lot of ups and downs in the early 80s. And here was a person, born Vaishnava, Prabhupada's sannyas disciple, a Gaudiya Vaishnava, knows the philosophy very well, and 1986, 87 onwards, he starts roaring. He starts roaring, because when Mataji was mentioning, Srila Prabhupada had his 2, Govinda Maharaj had his mission. So that's there in this book. Three missions he had. Yeah. Anyway, I have by-hearted it. I have spoken it so many times I can speak. he said his heart was paining so much because in the 80s, when a lot of leaders came down from their position, so there was a lot of discussion that, there is a lot special mercy outside ISKCON level waiting for us, for ISKCON devotees to go out. So his heart used to pain. And he mentioned, my heart pains when people say that my revered spiritual master, His Divine Grace S.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada has given ABC of a Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy. And there is not left and others are waiting to give that. My heart pains when I hear this. And that is why I have 3 missions in my life. First, preach to the preachers of ISKCON. Second, show everyone that everything is in Srila Prabhupada's books. And third, prove everyone that everything is in ISKCON. You don't have to go outside of ISKCON for anything. Many times, a lot of challenges come. Recently, I was giving offering to my own Guru Maharaj, Sri Lozinus Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj. So I was just sharing. Because ISKCON, my personal experience, little bit whatever is there, with hearing, especially a lot of shiksha I took from Gour Govinda Maharaj's lectures. And a lot of senior Vaishnavas, one of them sitting in front of me is Atul Krishna Prabhu, who trained me for what I am today in the philosophy of Bhagavad Gita and his own exemplary Sankirtan life. So, to me, when I was growing up, I had Maharaj's darshan once in the late 80s. Because in those days, I am based from Juhu temple. So most of the leaders used to have a transit flights either from Mumbai or Delhi. Because there were not much flights outside of India either. So many of the leaders used to come. So once Maharaj was giving a class, I was 7-8 years old. But the roaring was so strong that I just took prasad and escaped from there, Because Prabhupada, those days we would have English class in Prabhupada's quarters and a Hindi class in the Juhu Prabhupada's quarters and the Hindi class in the temple hall. So Maharaj was roaring, very loudly. And the same day, the same person was giving class in the evening. But I recently heard a class in which Maharaj was mentioning that he was coming to Juhu temple. And he was coming from South Africa or Europe. South Africa, yes. So he mentions my president's name, Brajahari Prabhu booked the room in that lecture. So he had already prepared that it was Advaita Acharya's appearance day. And he already prepared a class. But that day, it was Sunday. And all the Juhu leaders had a very important meeting with one very big important person, who was going to give a big donation for the second phase. Like that, some situation was there. So they could not arrange Maharaj's class in the morning Bhagavatam, neither the Sunday feast. But then Maharaj said, but I already prepared my offering to Srila Advaita Acharya. I have to speak. I have to give my seva. So Sunday, if you come to Juhu temple, even Mayapur is heavily crowded. So they kept Sunday evening, Maharaj, you give Gita class, you give your offering. So Maharaj said, so much noise is in the temple. So much noise in the temple. All people on Sunday, all crowded. And they told me to give, so I have to give my offering. So I started speaking. And Maharaj had his special style of speaking, He would look at, people. And, every lecture, at least 1 or 2 disciples would get special mercy. So Mr. Peter, in London I can. Mr. Peter, Australia. So Mr. Peter and the whole class would be for Mr. Peter. And, like that. And then he would catch some disciple in the front. Hey, do you understand? Newton? Like that, So Maharaj already like a lion. So Maharaj, in this lecture, he shares that he said, everyone was in the Sunday temple hall, hither and thither. But you see, it was the appearance of Advaita Acharya, who roar like a lion for late Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to come. So I also roared in the Jew temple hall. And when I roared, there was full silence. All the people were looking at me. And then a lot of people were standing and Lord sat down to hear. So I had to give my offering to Advaita Acharya. Then I got up and everyone, they started making space for me to go and take darshan of the deities. So that is how Maharaj was. Maharaj is. It's very, very special. And as I was mentioning in the 80s, Maharaj said, preach to the preachers of ISKCON. So, to myself, because I grew up very closely with the Juhu community, but when it came to joining Srila Prabhupada's Lilamrit, the spirit of Srila Prabhupada, along with his disciples, the way they established this movement, the kind of decision Srila Prabhupada would take, the kind of, the spirit his disciples would carry, That's one of the reasons I joined the mission actually. I joined the mission because once, one letter comes, one author or from Japan writes a letter, and his prediction was in the 70s, late 70s, the way this movement is preaching, if it continues for next 25 years, there won't be any other religion except the Hare Krishna in the whole world. That was the spirit of Lilamrit. So I kind of joined, and I was missing that spirit until I met Radheshyam Prabhu, Atul Krishna Prabhu. Their individual personalities influenced me, inspired me. But Srila Gaur Govind Maharaj's lectures played a very, very big role because he speaks very simple things, but with the conviction which he speaks, for a lifetime you can follow that and philosophically be convinced. Like for example, lot of devotees would go to Maharaj because some of the leaders came down from the position or they were disturbed with certain managerial issues or XYZ. But they would come to Maharaj and ask him questions. Questions and questions. And Maharaj's answer would be spiritual, not offending anyone, and no prajalpa. Never. Like I heard one devotee asking him, and the question was repeatedly problems in ISKCON. Problems in ISKCON. So Maharaj was giving answers here and there. And at one point, one person, one disciple or a follower directly asked about problems in ISKCON. Srila Gaur Govind Maharaj said, there is no problem in ISKCON. He said, problem is in your mind. What is in your mind, you are seeing that only. So if you have problem in your mind, you will see only problems. That one answer struck my heart for rest of the life. And he introduced, for us, when we joined the movement, we all hear, Golokera Prema Dhana Harinam Sankirtana. We have to get the love of God, pure love, Premanam, We would hear all these things, and we hear Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna, form of his own, he has come as his own devotee to give prema. So we read it, and then after read it, how much are we realized about it? We don't know. But when we hear from a person who's realized it, it makes an impact. Because Srila Gaur Govind Maharaj introduced a very special nectarian way to sing Caitanya-charitamrita in ISKCON. He would take people, when he would speak on CC, Caitanya-charitamrita, wherever he's sitting, it's like he would take, Dhruva Maharaj flying, Dhruva Maharaj's palace flying, like that, Srila Gurudev, he would take everyone with him and take them to a different realm when he's speaking. And that sweet meter of his singing, I just wanted to remember him by, singing something the way generally he used to do this. He used to sing Radha Madhava, then the words, then he would offer his prayers, invocation prayers. And then he would come to Namo Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Pishtaya Bhutale, Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Tinamine, Namaste Saraswati Deve, Gaurvani Pracharine, Nirvishesha Shunyavadi, Paschatya De Shatari. Once he's done with this, everyone, all his disciples knew. He would start. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. This was one unique thing which would take everyone to a different realm. And there were two very special lines, 6-7 lines from the Gaudiya Vaishnava bhajans and different scriptures he would relish, and most of his lectures he has that. So I would like to share that with all of you today. One is Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Jive Daya Kori Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Jive Daya Kori Sapashada Sadama Sahavatari Sapashada Sadama Sahavatari Atyanta Durlabha Prema Kari Bare Dana Atyanta Durlabha Prema Kari Bare Dana Shikhai Bo Sharanagati Bhakatera Prana Shikhai Bo Sharanagati Bhakatera Prana Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Then another very favorite of his, most of the lectures, he would sing this also. Nama vina kali kale nahi yada dharma. Nama vina kali kale nahi yada dharma. Sarva mantra saranama Ei shastra marma Sarva mantra saranama Ei shastra marma Prabhu tumi jivera Mangal chinta kori Prabhu tumi jivera Mangal chinta kari Kali yuge nama sange Swayam avatari Kali yuge nama sange Swayam avatari Yuga dharma pracharilo Nama Sankirtana Yuga Dharma Pracharino Nama Sankirtana मुख्य पते जीव पाए कृष्ण प्रेम धन जीव पाए कृष्ण प्रेम धन. Those who have attended Maharaj's class, have heard his classes, will always hear these two narrations. This is what is, because I have heard more than 300 of his lectures. But I have seen many of these lectures. Either these two narrations, or one of the lines, two of the lines will always be there. And in this way, he would introduce Krishna Prem. So in my life, I was always thinking Krishna Prem, yes, Krishna Prem, Krishna Prem. One day I heard his lecture, Uddhava's visit to Vrindavan. And two personalities in my life, my observation, when they would narrate, will speak or sing, it would be like the eruption of a volcano of Krishna consciousness realization. Eruption. One was Aindra Prabhu when he would do kirtan, and another was Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj when he would speak. When he would speak the philosophy, when he would explain, like I was like a new devotee. 3 lectures I heard, and that made me stay back, because when I was a new Bhakta, so I took training under Atul Kashyap, did Bhakti Shastri, went to Pune temple, and I thought, yeah, I'm a Bhakti Shastri. After 1 week, the manager came and told me, Prabhu, you have to go and assist the kitchen in charge for next 6 months, washing the pots and washing the rice. So after 3 days of that, I was thinking that, am I serious about doing this rest of my life? Am I firm that I'm here for this? But then I was hearing, and these 3-4 lectures I heard. One of them was this, Uddhava visits Vrindavan. So Maharaj very beautifully narrates it, and he brings it to the point where Uddhava meets Nanda Baba and Mother Yashoda. You remember this class, Mother? Uddhava meets Nanda Baba and Mother Yashoda. And we read it in the books. The Maharaj's narration is that Nanda Baba and Mother Yashoda were looking at Uddhava, staring at his eyes. And they were very concerned. What are they concerned? They are concerned about Krishna. What are they concerned? Is someone taking care of Krishna nicely in Dwaraka? Is Krishna eating on time? Is someone helping him to do his work? Because he is a very dependent child for Nanda Baba and Mother Yashoda. And Maharaj keeps on narrating. And Uddhava, Maharaj says, Brahaspati Shishya, Pandita. And Maharaj says, Gyan and Aishwarya. Mixture of Gyan and Aishwarya. He has his devotion approaching through that. So, now Uddhava looks at Nanda Baba and Mother Yashoda and feels pity. He feels pity. And then he goes on narrating few hundred shlokas, how Krishna, Nanda Baba and Mother Yashoda's Nanda Lala, is the supreme personality of Godhead, the maintainer of the 3 worlds, the Paramatma within everyone's heart, and he goes on narrating the shlokas from the Shastras. What is Krishna? And Nanda Baba and Yashoda are looking, and Maharaj says, Nanda Baba is looking, huh? He's looking at Uddhava. And then Maharaj very beautifully explains. He said that day Nanda Baba's anxiety increases. He tells Uddhava, we were very least bothered that Krishna is in your custody in Dwaraka. But today what you spoke has increased our anxiety. Because what you spoke proves that you have grown in size but not in intelligence. By narrating who is Krishna, you have grown in your size but not in intelligence. Then again they speak how Krishna is their child only who depends on them. And while this, Uddhava noticed one thing, that Nanda Baba and Mother Yashoda were weeping, but they have lost their eyesight. Because after Krishna left, they were only remembering Krishna and crying. Crying for Krishna, they have lost their eyesight. When I heard this, and then further he explains in another lecture how he meets the gopis and who are all different pastimes of Krishna, group of gopis doing. And this was a reflection. Like one disciple asked Srila Prabhupada, who is Lord Chaitanya? Is a pure devotee of Krishna? Prabhupada kept quiet. After a few seconds, he said, no. Lord Chaitanya is mad about Krishna. He's not a pure devotee of Krishna, but he's mad about Krishna. And the way Maharaj narrated, actually I got the glimpse and introduction, what we call as love of God. Love of God. That lecture of Maharaj was very, very strong impression. And few of his conversations. Once a disciple asked him a question about his personal problems and how he would correct his disciple. Very strong. It's there in this book actually. It's there in the book also. I spoke last year also. And he spoke to Maharaj some things about his plans to resolve his problems. And Maharaj, whenever it was, Maharaj was very particular about even meeting and commenting. He would hear people sometimes not comment. He would be in a place and he would not meet everyone. He would meet people in the asana, give a class and convey his message, what he stands for. That's it. So this disciple spoke and Maharaj next day in the Bhagavatam. This fellow, I will not name, he said, this fellow came to me yesterday night and he's telling me, Gurudev, there is no sufficient stool in Bhubaneswar. I want to go to Australia and eat stool. Please give me permission. Rascal! Permission. So Maharaj, I don't know, Mataji must be sitting in those classes, many of these, She stayed there. So like that. And one day there was a conversation about, Maharaj gave a class and after the lecture there was a conversation about women's depending, always. About under the father, under a husband, under a son. And the discussion was a very famous conversation. Discussion was husband and wife separating, So it went on, Maharaj is coming down from the stairs and he said, then Maharaj, see, Srila Vaikuntha Murthy Prabhu, one of Maharaj's disciples, used to say that they were very young Odia boys those days. And the Western devotees were so inquisitive. They would just surround Maharaj a whole day, asking him questions only. So like this, after the lectures, till his rooms, they would go, asking questions. So this conversation was going on. Husband and wife separation, women depending. So he kept on asking, so Maharaj said, adverse situation, the Guru may give permission to the husband and wife to separate. So they kept quiet. The next question. He said, Gurudev, but you told that the woman has to depend on Krishna. So Maharaj already got irritated. From the stairs, came down on, He said, he looked at him and he gave him one whip, fat on his cheek. It's there in the video. Remember the name of the devotee? You remember the name? Oh, right, it's there in the video. Chat. Krishna is the maintainer, Baba. Krishna is the maintainer. Krishna is maintaining everyone. Like that. And the best part was, the disciple asked further questions. That was the second lecture. The third one was, that actually made me stay. He's roaring. It's a Sankirtan class or Padyatra class. It's called Sankirtan is Life. How many of you heard it? Sankirtan is Life. Padyatra class. So, nobody in this creation can speak. I will just play it for all of you.
Krishna is life. Mahaprabhu is giving you life. Prabhupada is giving you life. When Western world was dying, just to end their suffering, taking very dreadful drugs, LSD, marijuana, dying, committing suicide. Prabhupada brought this life. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
So last two things. In my life, I also was going through some phase where I was really questioning, should I be the missionary in the movement or should I just be congregation financially and managerially independent? But then I came across two pastimes of Maharaj. And one I myself made it up. One was, there was a lot of challenges because Maharaj would speak, and after Srila Prabhupada left, his Vani used to actually attract so many people to him. And there would always be questions on that. And at one point, some disciples here in Mayapur told him, Gurudev, let's go out. Let's go out. We have money and people. Both. We will preach Prabhupada's message. He said, that disciple, the disciple did not tell me, the other disciple with him, he told me this. He told him, Chalo, go Baba. I cannot leave my Srila Prabhupada, I just practically pushed him, that disciple, out of the room. Practically pushed him out of the room. And recently, I had the good fortune to quote one of his lectures because he gave one lecture when the leaders voted on Jiva fall down. Famous lecture. He used to always go to Bhubaneswar like a father addressing all the sons, whatever he did in his journey. He would tell the children like that. He would address his yatra in Bhubaneswar. So in that, two beautiful stories he said. I will not tell the content, but on Jiva fall down. Maharaj wanted to present his side by quoting the various acharyas, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and present. But then it was not allowed and it was voted. So Maharaj said, I'm very upset. He said, I'm very sad. He says, no, that is not possible. He said, Ghana vote is not possible. He said that the founder Acharya has made this movement, and the leaders of this movement should have a very cool head. And with a cool head, whenever there is a difference of opinion, we should quote the Acharyas, sit with a cool head, discuss. That is what founder Acharya wanted. The cooperation can happen only with a cool head. We can discuss philosophy when it's a philosophical one. What is this vote? He said, you cannot do everything by vote. He said, philosophical subject cannot be by vote. And then he quoted the story. He said, there were 5 leaders and there was a dog. He said 4 of them voted. The dog is a goat. And by majority vote, the goat becomes the goat. By majority vote, the dog becomes a goat. This will not work, he said. So recently, in our Indian leadership, I was representing the Indian Temple President's body to the ISKCON Bureau. So somehow or other, I was very nervous. First time I was representing. So I went and I quoted this directly. I said, look, that was about the Vaishnavi Diksha Guru issue. So I just quoted. I said, look, there were 4 initiating spiritual masters in the meeting. 4 initiating spiritual masters of ISKCON. And 2 of them have one opinion and another 2 have another opinion. So I quoted this pastime of Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj and I told, look, 4 of you are external manifestation of Krishna on a very important spiritual philosophical topic. 2 of you are differing. And you are imposing the whole movement by majority vote. And then I quoted this story. A philosophical subject cannot be resolved by a majority vote. And I told this story. And somehow or other, it went in favor of Indian leaders. So that was one thing. There are many things, but I think I'm done with my time. Thank you. I've actually gone over the boat. But thank you very much. Srila Gour Govinda Swami Maharaj ki. Srila Prabhupada ki. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prabhu. As you mentioned, in Bhubaneswar, there were the Oriyas and the Western disciples. So the Oriyas, some of the Oriyas sometimes also wanted to ask a question to Guru Maharaj. And then he would shut them up, or he would just slap them on the head or in the face. Why? Because they are from here, local. They have to do seva, and that is their That is the main thing for them. But the Western disciples, they had one initiation or two initiations before. They were like traumatized. They had so many questions. They had lost faith. So our Gurudev, he allowed them to ask so many questions because they had so many, doubts in the previous pillars and masters. All these things was happening. So that's why that was made possible. Just as an explanation. Prabhu, you want to say something?
In this regard that he was speaking, how so many devotees, they have 2, 3 gurus that fall down and they were so confused. And there is one Prabhu, I think 2, 3 gurus fell down. And he was scared that Gurudev also fell down. And he'll tell Gurudev, but Gurudev, and then Gurudev will tell him, stop speaking like this. And again, he will say the same thing. Gurudev, stop speaking like this. And I understand, because after 3 gurus fell down, it's hard you can believe someone. And then one day, Gurudeva just grabbed his bead bag and told, cello! And threw him outside the gate. And this devotee started crying. And he realized, what happened? And then Gurudeva went inside his room. And then he called all of us and he said, only if you give them mercy, I will accept him. So you all went there in front of Gurudeva Bhajan Kutir. And you say, yes, Gurudeva, be merciful to him. Call him back. And then, he came back, it was a good teaching also for us, to see how disciples also has to be merciful and to each other. Just I don't speak more.
I just want to speak. Ishtadev Prabhu is a very senior man. Srila Gaur Govind Maharaj used to love Padayatra devotees. And for several years, he was heading the All India Padayatra for several years. And he's come from Odisha, so he had interactions with Maharaj some.
परम पूज्य श्रील गौर गोविंद स्वामी महाराज की जय। ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जन शलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। लगता है कि हिंदी भाषी भक्त बंगाली भाषी भक्त के लिए तो बड़ा फास्टिंग चल रहा है, अर्थात तो कुछ भी समझ नहीं पा रहे क्या हो रहा है। तो मैं प्रयास करूंगा हिंदी में बोलने के लिए ताकि आप सब लोग महाराज की कुछ रिलीज कर सकेंगे। आई एम सॉरी even though I can speak English, but there's a lot of devotees could not speak, understand the English, so some past time they can release in the Hindi. That's okay? Hare Krishna. Yeah, it's okay. It's very small. Actually, मैं महाराज जी के प्रदेश उड़ीसा प्रांत से हूँ, लेकिन मेरी इतनी सौभाग्य नहीं बन पाया कि महाराज के चरण में रह के सेवा करूँ। कारण क्या था, मैंने कॉलेज लाइफ में भक्त बना और मैं सोच रहा था कि भुवनेश्वर में ज्वाइन करूंगा, महाराज की साथ रहूंगा या वहीं भुवनेश्वर में रहूंगा। लेकिन भय था कि मैं भुवनेश्वर में ज्वाइन करूंगा तो मेरी पेरेंट्स आके मेरे को पकड़ के घर में ले जाएंगे, तो भय था। इसीलिए मैंने ज्वाइन किया दिल्ली में। लेकिन 1 साल के बाद जब मैं भुवनेश्वर में आया, उस समय नित्यानंद त्रयोदशी था। महाराज जी का एक ट्रेडिशन था, प्रत्येक वर्ष एक केवल उड़ीसा में होता है अष्टप्रहर कीर्तन। पता नहीं बंगाल में होता है कि नहीं, हमारी उड़ीसा में गांव गांव में एवरी विलेज वी हैव अष्टप्रहर कीर्तन। 24 अष्टप्रहर में 24 आवर कीर्तन। डिफरेंट विलेज पीपल विल कम 1 आवर 24 आवर 24 ग्रुप दे विल डू कीर्तन। ऐसा कीर्तन करते हैं। तो महाराज जी उड़ीसा को प्रचार करने के लिए उस स्थान का, इस्कॉन में नहीं होता है लेकिन हमारा अभी कीर्तन मेला शुरू हो गया है, लेकिन उस प्रथा को गौर गोविंद महाराज जी, क्योंकि जैसा देश ऐसा होता है तो वो वहीं एस्टैब्लिश किए थे। आज उस दैट सेम ट्रेडिशन स्टिल नाउ गोइंग ऑन। अभी भी आप जाएंगे नित्यानंद त्रयोदशी को तो 24 आवर कीर्तन होता है। तो मैं वहाँ पहुँचा, महाराज की प्रथम बार दर्शन किया। महाराज जी हट्टे कट्टे मजबूत। तो प्रथम बार मेरी लेक्चर सुना मैंने। कितना घंटा? 3 hours. Morning lecture, 3 hours. I think 2.5 hours. Nityananda Lila. Nithai! He roared like, so everybody, who the newcomers who doesn't know, जो जानता नहीं शायद डर जाएगा क्या होता है. एक इंसिडेंट बताता हूं. एक विदेशी, कई विदेशी लोग थे वहां, कई विदेशी प्रभुपाद के शिष्य भी उनसे शरणागत शिक्षा लेते थे. तो एक विदेशी माता जी उठा बीच में. इसकी जो हाल हुई. She just wake up, stand up. Hey! Why you wake up? You don't like Bhagavad? No. He used to say that, je no mane Bhagavad to sahi to chandal. So like that, heavy. I got good fortune. I couldn't have personal so much talk with him. My younger brother joined there. So he had some good relation with Maharaj. Or every day morning, Maharaj used to that chena prasad. Chena, paneer. But loose, not the tight paneer. Loose paneer they used to offer Krishna Balram. Krishna Balram को भोग लगाते थे और महाराज जी सुबह सुबह मंगल आरती के बाद में महाराज जी पहले खाएंगे. महाराज जी को पहले ऑफर किया जाएगा और महाराज इतना बड़ा कटोरी होता था पित्तल का, तो महाराज जी थोड़ा खाएंगे और सबको बांटते थे. और हमें भी ऐसा मौका मिला, महाराज के हाथ से वो प्रसाद हमको मिला, हम खाया. और एक कथा मैंने सुना, परम पूज्य लोकनाथ स्वामी महाराज ने कहा कि पदयात्रा पूरा उड़ीसा में जब पदयात्रा 84 में जो पदयात्रा द्वारका से शुरू हुई थी, जो आज गौर निताई हम लोग दर्शन कर रहे हैं इन द मेन एंट्रेंस, दैट्स द पदयात्रा ओरिजिनल फर्स्ट डेटी ऑफ द पदयात्रा. ओके, दिस इज द गौर निताई इन भजन कुटीर. और मैं यहाँ थोड़ा एडवर्टाइज करना चाहता हूँ कि कमिंग 23 राधाष्टमी डे, राधाष्टमी के दिन एक पदयात्रा आरंभ हो रहा है, पूरा बंगाल पदयात्रा, संपूर्ण गौरमंडल यात्रा. तो आप सबका स्वागत है. विल अनाउंस इट. ओके, तो प्रभुपाद जी का आदेश से लोकनाथ स्वामी महाराज जी पदयात्रा में महाराज से सुना. वो वृंदावन से मायापुर आए और मायापुर से प्रभुपाद जी मिले, लोकनाथ महाराज मिले, बोले वी केम फ्रॉम वृंदावन टू हियर प्रभुपाद, सो व्हाट इज द नेक्स्ट. प्रभुपाद जी ने कहा तुम अब यहां से पैदल चलो. कहां? पुरी तक लोकनाथ स्वामी महाराज बैलगाड़ी में, छोटे गौर निताई तृतीय, I think some Taittiriya Prabhupada disciple given the deities and they was carrying. भुवनेश्वर में पहुंचे तो बैल मर गया, the bull was died, left body, sorry. So now पदयात्रा stopped, पदयात्रा बंद हो गया. तो वो गौनिताई विग्रह लोकनाथ स्वामी महाराज ने गौर गोविंद महाराज को दिया. महाराज जी हमारी पदयात्रा बंद हो गया, तो ये गौनिताई का सेवा आप करें. आज भी वो गौनिताई, उस समय महाराज के पास में कोई मंदिर नहीं था, बड़े डेटी नहीं था, फोटो कुछ नहीं था. पहला गौर निताई लोकनाथ महाराज जी ने गौर गोविंद महाराज को दिया. कुछ दिन के बाद में बैल की इंतजाम हो गया. दे गॉट अ न्यू बुल. नाउ दे वांट टू स्टार्ट अगेन द पदयात्रा फ्रॉम भुवनेश्वर टू बिकॉज़ द प्रभुपाद ऑर्डर वाज देयर. तो उन्होंने कहा महाराज जी हमारी बैल रेडी हैं, रथ रेडी हैं, आप हमें गौर निताई को दीजिए. गौर निताई प्रभुपाद गौर गोविंद महाराज जी अंदर अल्टर में गए और आए बाहर, बोले लोकनाथ स्वामी गौर निताई यहां से जाना नहीं चाहते, मना कर रहे हैं. Can you imagine that? He asked Gaur Nitai, bullock cart is ready. We have to go. He said, no, I am happy with the bhat and dalma. I am happy with the dalma bhat. Then in Odisha, this is a special item, Maharaj also eat. Rice and dalma. There is no need sabji another. They put sabji in the dalma. So Maharaj say, they are not, they deny. Literally, I'm telling you, I heard from my Guru Maharaj, Loknath Swami Maharaj. He said, गौर गोविंद महाराज ने मेरे को बोला, I can't speak anything. मैं कुछ नहीं कह पाया. नहीं, मतलब कि निरुत्त मैं नहीं, जिद्दी नहीं कर पाया कि भाई हमको चाहिए, ऐसा नहीं. समझे कि नहीं? So he came back without the deities. And the same deities now, when I go to Bhubaneswar just to, 3 months before Maharaj I gone, we see same, Maharaj was telling, these are the my deities, which I was walking with from Vrindavan to, Puri. And Maharaj, so, I'm telling you, 96, and in ISKCON there is a history, इतिहास है. कोई भी स्पीकर हो, मॉर्निंग भागवत क्लास इन जीबीसी मीटिंग समय में कभी कोई रिपीट नहीं कर सकता लेक्चर. 2 बार नहीं दे सकता, 2 दिन नहीं देख सकता कंटिन्यू. इतना सन्यासी गुरु है, कम समय में किसका लटरी लगेगा पता नहीं है कि नहीं. लेकिन गौर गोविंद महाराज जी की, मैं था उस समय में 95, महाराज जी एक लेक्चर दिए और इतनी आनंददायक था, इतनी आनंददायक था, ऑल जीबी और सब लोग महाराज रिक्वेस्ट प्लीज प्लीज बी कंटिन्यूड। अर्थात सेकेंड डे महाराज ने में लेक्चर दिया, ये आप लोग को सुने होंगे, आई थिंक यू नो दिस। 96 हम लोग वी आर कमिंग, हिमालय से पैदल चल के आप आ रहे थे और हम लोग उसी दिन धुबुलिया में थे पदयात्रा, दूसरा दिन हमको पदयात्रा एंटर करना था मायापुर में 96 सेंटेनियल। एंड सो अनफॉर्चुनेटली नो हम लोग महाराज की इंतजार करते हम लोग महाराज से मिलेंगे या जो भी है। हम वहाँ थे पदयात्रा, 20 भक्त पदयात्री ऑन द रोड समवेयर। हमें सूचना मिला कि महाराज शरीर छोड़ दिए। इतनी दुखदायक था उस दिन मेरे लिए कि मैं महाराज की थोड़ी बहुत कहीं संग मिला था और उनके जो भजन सीतापति प्रभु ओडिशा के गोविंदा गोविंदा गो, ये भजन है ना, ये कभी कहीं इस्कन में नहीं गाया जाता, लेकिन महाराज गाते हैं गोविंदा 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 पदु गलुछि मकरंद से मकरंद पान करी तिले हरिले ब्रजनारी हरि हरि। So Maharaj used to sing this song, Odia song very nicely. So it's a tremendous, my Guru Maharaj, he said in one of offering, they say Bhakti Siddhanta Maharaj the lion, Singha Guru. But in ISKCON, my Guru Maharaj, Loknath Swami Maharaj offering में लिखते हैं, Govinda Maharaj was a Singha Guru, he said. And you see, you know, so anyhow, तो महाराज की बड़ी कृपा पदयात्रा का आज भी परंपरा चली आ रहा है। एवरी ईयर, हर साल कार्तिक, मंथ ऑफ कार्तिक, they to go Nitai and go Padiyatra in Odisha somewhere. In the tradition going on. So happy to, just share. I could not just control. I told Mataji, please can you give me 2 minutes? I want to speak something, तो बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। परम पूज्य श्रील गौर गोविंद स्वामी महाराज के, श्रील प्रभुपाद के। And one thing, आप जानते हैं कि इतना बड़ा सुंदर गेस्ट हाउस मंदिर बनाया महाराज ने। हम होते हैं तो हमारी ऐसी रूम में चली जाते हैं। वो मंदिर ओपनिंग के बाद में गौर गोविंद महाराज जी प्रभुपाद के भजन कुटीर में बगल में उनका अपना रूम था, छोटी सी प्रभुपाद जैसा कुटीर यहाँ ऐसा चाल का। कभी भी उन्होंने वहाँ से आगे नहीं बढ़े, वहीं रहते थे। भलाई और दूसरे भक्त को उनको उन्होंने सुंदर गेस्ट हाउस में रहने की व्यवस्था करते थे, लेकिन वो प्रभुपाद की संग उनके साथ उनके भजन कुटीर को साथ वहीं से कभी भी आगे नहीं गए, वहीं सोते थे महाराज जी। दैट्स द अटैचमेंट फ्रॉम हिज गुरु। एंड एक बार बताता हूँ आपको, प्रभुपाद जी जब आए तो डिसाइपल कुछ बोले कि महाराज प्रभुपाद वी कैन अरेंज फॉर यू द होटल। प्रभुपाद जी ने बोला नो, आई वांट टू स्टे विद गौर गोविंदा, I want to stay with Gour Govinda. And Prabhupada was staying only there and he was translating Bhagavatam. He came there because somebody told in a Kumbh Mela there is a Kedar Gauri Kunda, Gauri Kedar Kunda. He told if you drink the water, the all disease will be cured. तो प्रभुपाद जी वहाँ आए थे, वो जल बोले कि जल लेके आओ, मैं पान करना चाहता हूँ, और जल दिया गया। प्रभुपाद जी उस पान किए हैं जो भुवनेश्वर लिंगराज मंदिर के नज़दीक में है। हरे कृष्णा।
Hare Krishna. I just wanted to add one thing. This deities of Gaur Nitai. So Loknath Maharaj, he told Gaur Govind Maharaj, please go and bring the deities we have to take. So Maharaj went and he came back. He said they don't want to go. They are saying they are happy here. So Loknath Maharaj said, Arey, what is this? We are ready with the new bull. So he sent Gaur Govind Maharaj to get the deities. So Maharaj went and again came back. He said, with a very loud voice they shouted at me. They told that they are happy here and they don't want to go.
He speaks every time he speaks. Bengali, no problem. Krishna Gujarati translate.
বাংলা। হরে কৃষ্ণ। আমাদের ইষ্টদেব বললেন না যে হিন্দি শোনার কেউ সেরকম নেই, এখন আমি বাংলায় বলবো কিছু বাঙালি ভক্তের জন্যে, ঠিক আছে?
ওং অজ্ঞানাতিমিরন্ধস্য জ্ঞানাঞ্জনশলাকায় চক্ষুর্মিলিতং येन তস্मै শ্রীগুরুবে নমঃ। নমো ওং বিষ্ণুপদায় কৃষ্ণপৃষ্ঠায় ভূতলে শ্রীমতে গৌর গোবিন্দ স্বামী গুরু মহারাজ নীতি নামিনে গুরু মহারাজ কি যায়। আমরা পুরীতে যাচ্ছিলাম, 94 কি 95 হবে। সেই সময় গুরু মহারাজ বসে আছেন সংকীর্তন ভক্তদের মধ্যে। আমাকে বলা হলো যে আপনি যান, গিয়ে গৌর গোবিন্দের স্বামী গুরু মহারাজকে বলে দেন যে আমরা সংকীর্তন ভক্ত এসেছে, 40 জন 50 জন ভক্ত এসেছে বলবে। আমি গেছি, গুরু মহারাজ বসে আছেন। আর আমি গিয়ে হঠাৎ দেখি যে ভক্তিবিনোদ ঠাকুর এখানে বসে আছেন। মানে গৌর গোবিন্দের স্বামী গুরু মহারাজকে এমনভাবে তিনি পায়ের উপরে পা দিয়ে একটা বসে আছেন সন্ন্যাসীর বস্ত্র পরে। তা পুরা মানে ভক্তিবিনোদ ঠাকুরের মতো লেগেছে। তা আমি দেখেই চিন্তা করলাম কি ভক্তিবিনোদ ঠাকুর এখানে। তারপরে চিন্তা করলাম না, ইনি তো গুরু মহারাজ। তাহলে আমি বললাম গুরু মহারাজ আমরা সংকীর্তন ভক্ত এসেছি। ও সংকীর্তন ভক্ত এসছো, প্রসাদ পেয়েছো? না গুরু মহারাজ এই মাত্র এলাম। ওই যাও, ওখানে প্রসাদ আছে, প্রসাদ তো। তা গুরু মহারাজ খুব সুন্দর, যখন জিবিসি মিটিং হতেন, তা আমি যেহেতু 96-এ অল ওয়ার্ল্ডের ফার্স্ট হয়েছিলাম, সেই জন্যে দয়ারাম প্রভু আমাকে বলছিলেন যে জিবিসির সেবার জুস সার্ভিসের দায়িত্ব তোমার। তা সেই সময় গৌর গোবিন্দের স্বামী গুরু মহারাজকে 2-3 জন তুলে নিয়ে জিবিসি মিটিংয়ে আসতেন। হ্যাঁ, নিউ জিবিসি যে হল আছে সেখানে। তা গুরু মহারাজকে বলতাম গুরু মহারাজ জুস, তখন গুরু মহারাজ বলতেন লেমন জুস। হ্যাঁ গুরু মহারাজ। তখন গুরু মহারাজ লেমন জুস ভালোবাসতেন। আমি 2-3 বার লেমন জুস গুরু মহারাজকে নিজের হাতে দেওয়ার সুযোগ পেয়েছি। আর গুরু মহারাজের এইবারে আমার গুরু মহারাজের তিরুভাব তিথিতে একজন গুরু মহারাজের শিষ্য বলছিলেন যে প্রভুপাদ 2রা ফেব্রুয়ারি 2nd ফেব্রুয়ারি 1977 প্রভুপাদ গিয়েছিলেন, ওখানে 17 ডেজ ছিলেন। তা প্রভুপাদ বললেন যে আমি কখনো কোথাও এতদিন একই মন্দিরে থাকিনি, তাই তোমার মন্দিরে আমি 17 দিন থাকলাম, ভাগবত অনুবাদ করলাম। তা আমি বলছি 3টে অল্টার করবে। প্রথম অল্টারে গৌরনিতাই, দ্বিতীয় অল্টারে কৃষ্ণ বলরাম, তৃতীয় অল্টারে জগন্নাথ বলদেব সুভদ্রা রাখবে। কিন্তু গৌরনিতাই ডিটি আর কৃষ্ণ বলরাম ডিটি এখানে তৈরি করবে, আর জগন্নাথ বলদেব সুভদ্রা সময় বলেননি। তখন গৌর গোবিন্দের স্বামী গুরু মহারাজ বলছেন প্রভুপাদ জগন্নাথ বলদেব সুভদ্রা কি এখানে তৈরি করব? না, ও তৈরি করতে হবে না, ও আপনার থেকে আসবে। ঠিক আছে। তা 1991 সালে নিত্যানন্দ ত্রয়োদশীতে ইনগ্রেশন হবে। তা অধিবাস দিন গৌর গোবিন্দের স্বামীরা মহারাজ চিন্তা করছেন আগের দিন 2টো অল্টারে ডিটি চলে এসেছে, আর জগন্নাথ বলদেব সুভদ্রা ডিটি। প্রভাত বললেন না আসবে, কিন্তু এখনও কোনো খবর পাইনি, কিছু না, কি হবে। নিত্যানন্দ ত্রয়োদশী কালবাদ পরশু দিন, খুব চিন্তায় ছিলেন। তা গুরু মহারাজ মঙ্গল আরতি করে এক জায়গায় বসে জপ করছেন। একজন ভদ্রলোক এলেন, এসে বলছেন স্বামীজি স্বামীজি আচ্ছা এইটা কি নয়াপল্লী? যে হ্যাঁ। এটা কি ইস্কনের মন্দির? যে হ্যাঁ। বলছে বলবেন না, কালকে আমাকে স্বপ্ন দিয়েছে জগন্নাথ বলদেব সুভদ্রা যে আমি ইস্কন মন্দিরে যাব নয়াপল্লীতে, আমাকে নিয়ে চলো। আমার বড় বড় ডিটি আমি আনবো কী করে? আমি দেখতে এলাম ওই জন্যে যে সত্যি মন্দির হয়েছে না জগন্নাথ বলল, দেখলাম। গৌর গোবিন্দ স্বামী মহারাজ মানে সঙ্গে সঙ্গে গিয়ে প্রভুপাদের কাছে গিয়ে কান্না করতে শুরু করে দিয়েছেন যে প্রভুপাদ। আপনি বললেন, ভক্তদের বললেন তাড়াতাড়ি গাড়ি রেডি করো। শঙ্খ বাজিয়ে একদম করতল মৃদঙ্গ বাজিয়ে নয়াপল্লীতে নিয়ে এলেন। ওটা লিঙ্গরাজ মন্দিরে একজন বাড়ির কাছে ছিলেন, সেখান থেকে এই বিগ্রহ চলে এলেন। তা দেখতে পেলাম যে গৌর গোবিন্দের স্বামী গুরু মহারাজের সঙ্গে ছিল প্রভুপাদের যে আন্তরিকতা, হ্যাঁ, যে ভালোবাসা, তার তুলনা হয় না। যখন গুরু মহারাজ গিয়েছিলেন বৃন্দাবনে, প্রভুপাদ জিজ্ঞাসা করছেন, আর মথুরা থেকে গুরু মহারাজ একটা ব্যাগ কাঁধে থাকতো, ওই কাঁধে ব্যাগ নিয়ে আর একটা ছাতা নিয়ে হাঁটতে হাঁটতে এসেছেন। হাসার পরে প্রভুপাদের সঙ্গে দেখা হয়েছে। দেখা হওয়ার পরে প্রভুপাদ বলছেন, কথাবার্তা হলো, হওয়ার পরে উনি বললেন তাহলে আমি প্রভুপাদ আসি, চলে যাচ্ছেন। একটু বাদে প্রভুপাদ বলছেন, আচ্ছা গৌর গোবিন্দ সাহেব মহারাজ কোথায় গেলেন? বলছেন মহারাজ তো হেঁটে হেঁটে চলে গেলেন মথুরা ট্রেন ধরার জন্যে। বলছে আচ্ছা, আমার কোনো সন্ন্যাসী আজ পর্যন্ত এই হেঁটে হেঁটে যাবে, পয়সা খরচা না করে হেঁটে হেঁটে যাবে, এরকম কোনো সন্ন্যাসী আছে? বলছে প্রভুপাদ এইরকম সন্ন্যাসী তো নাই, আপনার গাড়িটা চাই তো, হ্যাঁ, যে গাড়ি করে পৌঁছে দিন। বলছে তাহলে তাড়াতাড়ি যাও, ডেকে নিয়ে এসো। এলেন, আসার পরে খাওয়া দাওয়ার পরে কথা বলছেন। তমাল কৃষ্ণ মহারাজ বলছেন প্রভুপাদ আপনি তো 4টের সময় উঠে দর্শন দেবেন, কথা বলবেন, আপনি বিশ্রাম নেন, কৃষ্ণ কথা বলবেন। তা বলার পরে প্রভুপাদ প্রচণ্ড রেগে গিয়ে তমাল কৃষ্ণ মহারাজ বলছে আমি কি এখন এখানে কি করছি, কথা কৃষ্ণ কথা করছি না অন্য কিছু কথা বলছি? তমাল কৃষ্ণ মহারাজ চুপ করে চলে গেছেন। যাওয়ার পরে বলছেন আমি যা কিছু বলি আমার শিষ্যর সঙ্গে সেটা কৃষ্ণ কথা ছাড়া অন্য কথা হয় না, ঠিক আছে? মহারাজ বললেন। তো এইভাবে তারপরে তমাল কৃষ্ণ মহারাজকে বললেন যে যাও গাড়ি করে স্টেশনে পৌঁছে দিয়ে আসো। তা কত সাধারণভাবে গৌর গোবিন্দ স্বামী গুরু মহারাজ তার জীবনকে কাটিয়েছেন। এবং আর তিনি ব্রহ্মচারীদের দিকে খুব মানে নজর রাখতেন। একবার ক্লাস দিচ্ছেন, একজন ব্রহ্মচারী একজন মাতাজির সঙ্গে হেসে হেসে কথা বলছে, সঙ্গে সঙ্গে গুরু মহারাজ ডাকলেন, ডেকে বললেন ওকে ডেকে নিয়ে এসো, শিকা কেটে সাদা কাপড় পরে এক্ষুনি বাড়ি পাঠিয়ে দাও। এত কড়া ছিলেন গুরু মহারাজ। তা গুরু মহারাজ কাছে আজকে আমি এই শুভ ব্যাস পূজার দিনে প্রার্থনা করব যাতে গুরু মহারাজের আদেশ নির্দেশ মতো তিনি যেমনভাবে প্রভুপাদের অত্যন্ত প্রিয় হয়েছিলেন, প্রিয় হয়ে সেবা করেছিলেন, আমরা যেন সেইভাবে উপবাস সেবা করে এই জীবনটা সার্থক করতে পারি। জয় গৌর গোবিন্দ স্বামী গুরু মহারাজ কি জয়।
Thank you, Maharaj. So I think when we had planned Vyas Puja like this in English, Oriya, Hindi and Bengali, we would not have managed it. But somehow it happened today. Madan Lasa, please come forward.
It is really, for me, it is a very memorial day, the Maharaj's birthday. Why? What happened? 2013, Shukumar, the Prabhu Brahmachari, is staying here, and Prabhupada, Govinda Maharaj ki jo seva karte hai na. So he told me that, Prabhu, tomorrow morning you have to come to MCS because you have to, our MC, you know, you speak person, organize things. And that morning I could not come. So he said, why you did not came? I was waiting for you. You're supposed to be our MC. So I told, I'm sorry I cannot come because today I receive a son. So, the day of Maharaj's Vyas Puja, 10 years back, today, so I had a son in Mayapur Dham. So, same day my son appeared. So it was really a memorial day for my life.
नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रस्थाय भूतले श्रीमत गौर गोविंद स्वामी नामिने। नमो ओम विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रस्थाय भूतले श्रीमत भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवीं गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादि पश्चातादेशतारिणे। Thank you all for coming and also glorifying my beloved Srila Gurudev, our beloved Srila Gurudev. It's very encouraging to hear, and also for me it gives strength to also speak a little bit to try to glorify my Gurudeva. And with Gurudev, it was that we experienced that he explained so many tattva, like Jiva Tattva, Guru Tattva, Gaura Tattva, things we had never heard before. And it gives us so much bliss in the heart to hear all those things, to have doubts clear. And what I would like to add also is that our Gurudev gave us, especially also me, as I have understood, is that Prabhupada Tattva, Srila Prabhupada Tattva. And I'm from a Hindustani background, My father bought the Bhagavad Gita. He read it, put it aside, and then I started to read. I became vegetarian just because of Srila Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita. And we were brought up with Krishna, the name Krishna, about reincarnation, karma, all these things. But we never had a clear, deep understanding. Unless then, when we read Srila Prabhupada's books, then we got this clear, deep understanding. So many doubts were cleared, and we could understand what is our purpose in life and whom to glorify. Also about Krishna, we thought it was just like other demigods. But thanks to Srila Prabhupada, we got this understanding. And so much confusion was cleared. Then when we joined ISKCON, we heard so many things. And when devotees, when you are like around 3, 4, 5 years, then you're somehow in a new setting. You're considered like a little bit senior. So when someone would ask, have you read Bhagavad Gita? Yes, 3 times already, 2, 3 times. And I noticed, later I understood, that I became a little puffed up, arrogant, thinking that I have understood Srila Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita. Also, when I read Srimad Bhagavatam, Caitanya-charitamrita, then thinking, yes, I have understood it all. And at that time, I was studying law, so everything, analyzing, everything, putting, making it clear. So I had, for myself, I thought, I have a pretty good understanding what Srila Prabhupada has given us. So then when I met my Srila Gurudev, and we went to Bhubaneswar, we sat down in class, and he started to speak about Prabhupada's purpose. First, he would glorify the Srimad Bhagavatam, the Caitanya-charitamrita. He would sing, and that was something we had never experienced before. When I would read the Bhagavatam, I would just, because we have seen other people do it, put it to our head, just to respect it. But the way he respected Srimad Bhagavatam by glorifying it, almost 15 minutes, 20 minutes before class, he would glorify Srimad Bhagavatam. And I had heard that there is a Grantha Bhagavatam, there is a person, Bhakta Bhagavatam, but only because of him, how he treated Srimad Bhagavatam, how he treated Srila Prabhupada books, I came to understand that Srimad Bhagavatam, that Bhagavad Gita is worshipful too, that is a being too, a divine being too. And also, when he was explaining the purpose of Srila Prabhupada, I have experienced before, and even when I would read, I would just go quickly through Srila Prabhupada's purpose. But the way he did it is that word for word, for one sentence, one word, he could take like 3 hours to explain. And deep meaning he would give. And he would say that if you really want to understand Srila Prabhupada's books, you have to really dive into that ocean of knowledge of Bhagavatam. And he would do that for us. He would dive for us deep and bring out the beautiful gems. And because of my Guru Dev, I had already awe and reverence and gratitude to Srila Prabhupada, but the way he glorified made us understand that Srila Prabhupada had put everything in his book, so many things more, and that it took like a pure devotee to understand the pure devotee and to dig that gems, that dive deep in that ocean of Prabhupada's book and get those gems. And what was striking, that Srila Gurudev would take so much effort to make us understand what Srila Prabhupada meant. And like tomorrow, this morning class, he was mentioning that a pure devotee, his only purpose here is to come and let us know who Krishna is, and he suffers seeing the suffering of the devotees, of the jivas, and that I could personally witness the way he was making big efforts to make us understand what Srila Prabhupada had given in his Srimad Bhagavatam, in his Bhagavad Gita. And that was a good lesson for me to understand that not just by reading Srila Prabhupada's purpose by ourselves, we can understand what Srila Prabhupada meant. And for me, I needed a pure devotee, a bona fide guru who understands Srila Prabhupada very well and who could let us know what Srila Prabhupada really meant with his purpose. And the first time we went to Bhubaneswar, that was in July, August 94, when we entered the temple, the first thing we saw in the hall of the temple was a big sign, a yellow sign with black letters saying, "If Srila Prabhupada would not have come to this world, where would you be now?" And for me, that was like a shock. And it made me think that so many things I have taken for granted, coming in contact with the devotees, coming into ISKCON, reading Srila Prabhupada's books, having prasad, Krishna prasad, reading the Bhagavatam, so many things I just took for granted. And that sentence that was written down and spoken by my Srila Gurudev made me understand that I am so much indebted to Srila Prabhupada, and that I should never ever forget this. Because very easily I could imagine myself where I would be when I would not come to this movement. If I would not come into contact with Srila Prabhupada books, I would be in deep down hell. So things we all take for granted, that there is always prasadam, always katha, always books of Srila Prabhupada, and classes, and people, devotees, who can explain to you what Srila Prabhupada meant. Those things I came to appreciate more thanks to my Guru Maharaj. And for the way also my Srila Gurudev was glorifying Srila Prabhupada, usually with your Guru Maharaj, you get the chance to do Guru Puja every day. If he's live there, you can go and you can do Guru Puja, you can worship him. But for us, that was not the case. In Bhubaneswar, he didn't allow us to do Guru Puja for him, because he wanted Srila Prabhupada in the center. And all our attention should be, glorification should be for Srila Prabhupada. And that also trained us, formed us, that how deeply we should be thankful, grateful to Srila Prabhupada. So I would like to enter here, and then you can speak. And then my husband, he can finish. Okay. Thank you all. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. So we are almost at the end of the program. So I have to cut a lot of my glorification. I just want to keep 2 points, and those 2 points I didn't coordinate with my wife what she was saying, what she was glorifying, how she was glorifying, and she mentioned Srila Prabhupada a lot. So of course, last week was thank you. So last week was Srila Prabhupada's Vjasa Puja. Thank you. So last week was Srila Prabhupada Vjasa Puja, and also I mentioned earlier before that the Vjasa Puja is not only the glorification of the Guru, but of the Guru Parampara. So by fortune, or nothing is by fortune or by incident, I read this where Srila Prabhupada mentioned about his own initiation. He said in 1933, I was officially initiated, and my only qualification was when I was introduced to my Guru Maharaj for initiation. So Guru Maharaj immediately said, yes, I shall initiate this boy. He is very nice, he hears me patiently, he doesn't go away. So that was my qualification. So I was thinking to myself, this is Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj speaking about Srila Prabhupada. He is very nice, he hears me patiently, he doesn't go away. So maybe sometimes we may wonder, you have to take some courses, you have to do many seva, you have many donations collecting, then you can get initiation or something. But the Guru, he looks at the heart of disciples, and when Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati saw Srila Prabhupada, he only said these three things. He is very nice, he hears me patiently, he doesn't go away. That was the qualification. Srila Prabhupada said, oh, these three things. So I thought by myself, what does it say to me? So I cannot say about myself if I'm nice or not. I also cannot say if I'm listening patiently. But one thing I can definitely say, I will never go away from the Guru, the lotus feet of Sri Gurudev and Srila Prabhupada. Because you can ask any disciple of Govinda Swami when they were initiated, and also the Prabhupada disciples, you could see in the life, they surrendered fully and they did so many seva, and that is the only qualification that they hold on to the lotus feet of the Guru. So I also came across another letter by Srila Prabhupada in the 1956. We know all that Srila Prabhupada was writing to so many government officials and other persons in the business world and asking for help and support to him. So he was writing to the Prime Minister, the President, and in 1956 he wrote a letter to the President at that time, and he was explaining how a President is like a representative of the King. He should do good for the society. Like Modi now is doing something for India, calling it Bharat and all these things. Srila Prabhupada was in those years, in the 40s and 50s, he was writing letters asking for help. And basically, all these rascals, prime ministers, presidents, they did nothing. But in this letter in 1956, November, it's a long letter, so I won't quote the whole letter, but there was this statement, this bold statement of Srila Prabhupada in this letter. He told, believe me or not, I have got the clue of going back to Godhead just after leaving my present material body, and in order to take along with me all my contemporary men and women of the world, I have started my paper Back to Godhead as one of the means to the way. So in 56 already, Prabhupada, he knows he's going back to Godhead. But not only that, he's taking all along with him, all the men and women contemporary in the world, back to Krishna. So, 56, he left his house in 51. So, 51 or 52, 4 years after. 3 years before he takes sannyas. He had nobody there. He was printing this back to Godhead with a few donations he collected. And then doing this, of writing this letter to the president, making bold statements, and at the end saying, I'm alone, please help me. So this is Srila Prabhupada's position. He is the Acharya, he knows it, he's going back to Godhead. And he made this bold statement, he goes to take along with him all the men and women of the world who will follow him. So this was, I think, mind-blowing, mind-blowing. And then let me finish with this. Yadi papi chadi dharma dure dese jaya mora sena pakti bhakta jaibe tathaye. If some sinful people escape and giving up religious principles go to far-off countries, then my Senapati Bhakta, military commander, will come at that time to give them Krishna consciousness. This is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the Sri Chaitanya Mangala Sutra Khanda by Lochana Das Thakur. So Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Patita Prabhupada ki jai. So this ends the Vyas Puja festival here. We will now go to the Pushpa Samadhi for Pushpanjali, and after that is Prasadam. Thank you also very much. Hare Krishna.
Taking